Hello once again. So, another reading that I'd like to share with you guys um, is sorry, I don't think I'm speaking English today, but I just want to say thank you. Usually I don't do this kind of stuff beforehand, but I'm very, very so grateful for the people who actually um, volunteer their time um, to help me with these readings. It's not only like good practice, it's also like it helps them, gives them insight into, and gives me insight too as well in terms of based on the experience they have their own life, maybe I guess I'm thinking of evidence, but more like feedback. The feedback I get from what I learn about their experiences in life um, shows me what direction I'm headed in terms of like how I'm reading these things, especially with my use of asteroids. So, but anyways, I just want to say thank you to this point in time that I'm very grateful for the people who volunteer their time. So thank you so much for those things. But here's another recording. I hope you guys enjoy it. Yeah, just enjoy it. Okay, and thank you for your patience in advance. Thank you to all those who are reading, watching my videos, whether it's astrology related or it's music or whatever. Okay, thank you so much. Enjoy. So thank you for volunteering and doing all this stuff. I'm just, have you ever had a reading done before?
Um, like an astrology reading? Yeah, 2 times, but in completely different phases of my life, completely different people. Um, yeah, and I always was interested in astrology. Like also now, like I'm reading books sometimes. I started a course. I did not really did it, but I started it because I'm
Oh,
really, really interested in it. So it's like
okay.
it's something that feels good for me, that feels right. Like I understand it quite well, fast. So it's something.
I kind of saw that in your chart. I was just looking at it. I was like, oh, I think I see why she likes that. So, yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up, hmm, which chart? Okay, here. So I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen.
Mhm.
Hopefully it works. We're going to go with your, where is that? Ah, here we go. Okay. So the chart that you saw is what I'm going to show first, and then I'm going to move into some other charts that are more complicated.
Nice.
So, and I hope it's okay with you. Um,
Mhm.
okay, so can you see me? Can you see it?
Mhm.
And you see? Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
sequels.
So sometimes there will be also technological uh, issues, not issues, more sorry, one second. Uranus is funny this year, so it's um, because
Awesome.
I like to see where I'm going. Okay, cool. So this is the chart you saw earlier. Uh, is there? You said your questions were about business, right? Your first question was about business. Okay.
Mhm.
So I'm sure
Mhm.
you probably experienced this, but according to your chart, um, when it comes to business, usually there's several places where we talk about business. There's the 10th house, there's the 8th house, which is more about big business. So it could be business.
Mhm.
Fourth house is almost like business, but not really. It's more like family related stuff. But it is about home. So I feel like that also has to do with because it's ruled by Cancer, so it means it has a lot to do with business acumen. So business like um, and it also ties in with our personal core beliefs. Yeah, core
Mhm.
beliefs are the fourth house. So this is why in synastry, love astrology, we start with usually like the fourth house. And we need to go further into the fifth, into the sixth, and then into the seventh. That's usually that stuff. That's what I've been learning. I was like, fourth house? What's the
Mhm.
fourth house? And I realized, oh, that's right, core beliefs. That's why we have this saying, sometimes you marry your father or your mother.
Mhm.
That's a fourth house thing. How that ties into business is that it's the Cancer thing. Cancer knows business because it knows how to relate. Cancer is a sign of like, yeah, Cancer has good business acumen, like ability to negotiate. You know, so with your, let's start first of all with um, your fourth house, your core beliefs here, showing that it was in Capricorn. Okay, I don't know if you could see that here. It's in Capricorn,
Mhm.
29 degrees. So it's not in. It looks like it's in Aquarius, but it's not. It's still in Capricorn. It's in the last degrees of Capricorn, or critical degrees, because so what that means is that actually even the moon is there. Typically, first of all, you have your moon in Capricorn, which usually means that you have very strong uh, control over your emotions. You have It's very grounded. Okay. This is
Mhm.
not going to this interpretation of this chart alone is not going to include the how you much you progressed. I have a chart for that,
Mhm.
how much you progressed. Okay, but that's for later. So with the moon in Capricorn, you have that strong like sense of like discipline. You actually you're picky with food, right? Right? Yeah. So yeah, but you're also picky specifically with your learning about food, which is in the third house. But
Mhm.
but because it's tied to the fourth house, it's part of like core beliefs that you have. You have this sort of with moon conjunct in the fourth house, it's right at home. When I say fourth house, I don't just mean fourth house. I mean conjunct Nadir or Imam Coeli right here. Um, so it means that I guess you can say your role in your family is kind of how it, it kind of helped mold your core beliefs as a child, especially like with your siblings. As you started to get to know your siblings, um, maybe you had a kind of distant relationship with your siblings.
I
It's
don't have siblings, so I'm an only child.
you don't have, oh, okay. You're an only child. Where does that show? You don't have siblings.
And my mother had like what is called like she was pregnant, but then she lost the child before she got me. So maybe there was one that should have been here, but he's not
Well, you
here.
might figure that out later because I'm not seeing in this one. I'm not seeing like because you don't birth your siblings, right? So
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily. The third house doesn't necessarily mean like actual siblings. It also means sibling figures.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so anyone, but it usually has a lot to do with your learning process, growing up. So how that ties into your core beliefs is that you really believe in like a really consistent, disciplined, um, very grounded way of doing things, particularly like your learning. You're very like hands-on too. You like your learning style is a little different though. Your learning style is in Sagittarius. So you like having adventure, Melissa. But that's we're not talking about your learning style. We're talking about your core beliefs affected your core beliefs, which is like she probably didn't really connect with you on an emotional level. It was more practical. So she probably did you feel supported with your career by any chance? Because I don't see that here. I see struggles. I see here there's a square to Pluto, which is power struggles. see,
Mm-hmm.
see, funny it's Uranus. So okay, I didn't do that. So now I can't remove it, but that's fine. So power struggles. Yeah, you had communicational problems
Mm-hmm.
with your mother.
maybe?
She was really like she's really soft, but she's different, of course. And like I would say, like in regard of business, we are completely different. And she loves what I'm doing, of course, but I don't know if she believes in it. Like she's waiting and seeing if everything will work out or not.
Okay. Okay.
That's difficult for me. Yeah.
Mm. Well, at the very least, you probably didn't, maybe not necessarily have power struggles with your mom, but possibly like family. When I say power struggles, I don't necessarily mean like you're fighting. I mean like
Mm-hmm.
you kind of didn't know how to be, part of you didn't know how to be real
Mm-hmm.
with your family. There's a part of
Mm-hmm.
you that couldn't, yeah, because of your ambition, right?
Mm-hmm.
At least you grew up as you got older, you had this like, yeah, the belief that it should be, I should work hard.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about this one is that, first of all, I'm going to connect everything. So how we usually relate with other people. It's tied to the seventh house, so it's about relationships, contracts, agreements, what we believe about each other, the you and I sort of dichotomy. It could be an actual like separated sort of relationship or combined. It depends. Um, with it being in Aries and your ascendant being in Libra, that signifies that when you, as you got older, you grew up in environments, not just a home environment, but in any general environment, particularly with any sort of like sort of this dynamic between two people, that you probably hmm, were surrounded by a lot of very go-getters, like people who are very assertive, people who are aggressive, even people who are they're very curious about life. It's all about just doing this, doing go, 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 go. It's a very strong energy. It's very Aries, very Mars energy.
Mm-hmm.
And but that also meant that it felt to you that there's a sort of like rush. And being born with this moon in Capricorn, it feels like you're like, slow down, right? And so that's how you portrayed yourself to the world, or you still probably still portray yourself to the world. You want the world to see you're very easygoing, you're very diplomatic. You see two sides of the same coin. You believe in equality. You believe in like harmony, peace, and all that stuff. Even the way you wear things has to be beautiful. It's not like rugged like Aries. Aries is messy, right? You
Mm-hmm.
like things elegant. You like things that are like poised and proper, and and so that ties in with your moon here, but also because it's square. This aspect right here, the square shows this belief of yours to, or the moon is a part of our sensation. The moon represents our sensation. The moon represents magnetism, vibration. So for you, it was very grounded. So you like you felt it's almost like you felt, especially growing up, you felt like this sort of like, I don't like instability. I like stability, especially in the last degrees of Capricorn. Oh, yeah, the last degrees in 27, it's very, very like, it has to be stable. You have to, especially like growing up in the family, like in a family environment. That's part of like how you also, it became part of your role, in the family.
Mm-hmm.
But that being square uh, to your ascendant right here, okay, it meant that you had to you kind of didn't know how to present yourself in a way to family. It's almost like you had to go with what they wanted, which was like very probably unpredictable. You had you had here Jupiter in Aquarius. Maybe they were kind of like the huge. I don't know if they're huge thinkers in the family. Very maybe philosophical, but definitely like science. Science was not maybe not science necessarily, but a sense of like, yeah, unpredictability. Um,
Mm-hmm.
With
Mm-hmm.
Jupiter there in retrograde, it means that you, how do you call this? Well, you like the, yeah, strange things. I don't know. Do you feel like it was very, your family is very strange? Do you feel that? You feel like that?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because it's my family,
Well, yeah,
because it's
that's
my
well,
perception of
yeah,
it.
that is
Um,
your chart is usually your perception of the world. Okay,
mhm,
go ahead.
mhm, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Okay, okay.
yeah. So, but with Jupiter there, it expands on that. Jupiter also rules like opportunities. It rules dogma. It rules religion. So maybe they got into weird religions, or at least it was your internal perception that that's what they believe. It doesn't necessarily
Mm,
mean like religion, but it could be anything dogmatic, anything. Uh, what's the other word for dogma? Doctrine. Sorry.
mhm,
Yeah. So it's sort of like that. But because it was in retrograde, I don't know if you could see that. It's retrograde.
mhm,
It means that it was there was an sort of uh, an insecurity about how you basically were to mature in that environment,
mm,
right?
mhm,
Especially with this right here with Pluto there, it's square Jupiter.
hmm,
It, it became part of this sort of like you started questioning what was real for you. You started to kind of like
mm,
it was a reminder because your body, this is your body. The first house is your body.
mm.
And because Pluto is there in your first house, Pluto represents that whole. He wants to be real. Pluto wants to be fucking real. I'm gonna swear here, okay? So, sorry,
Mhm.
I didn't do that one. I don't know what happened there. Okay, so yeah, Pluto wants to be real. Pluto is also kind of like shadow work.
Mhm,
So it represents genuineness, like rebirth, transformations, regeneration as well. So you probably Well, physically speaking, you probably take time to process things a lot, right?
mhm.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
I would say, yeah.
Yeah, so with that square year Jupiter, it's almost like you growing up in your family wasn't like maybe they thought you were too intense, and then they didn't know how to be real with you, at least with what
Mm,
you wanted, what you were looking for, what you desired. You really wanted something not only intense but meaningful, had real purpose behind it, right?
yeah,
And you
yeah.
felt maybe also kind of like left out. Maybe you were like the black sheep of the family.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, in life, I would say, like in childhood. And maybe what you said is like my father and my mother were completely different. Like he's more like this rational person and like typically
Yes.
Swiss,
Yeah.
like saying like everything has to be perfect. You have to study, you have to do this, you have to have a job, you have to have money, and like all these typical things. And my mother is more like the hippie of the family.
Ah. Mhm,
So
mhm.
that's so like different path, and I knew that like this typical Swiss path is not mine, and that was really difficult for me in childhood, and like
Mhm.
I felt always like not at the right place
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
nothing made sense. Like for me, I looked at people around me, and I was like, why they don't understand how
Yeah.
life is, or something
Yeah.
like that. It felt
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you had a sense of those things. It's not just about the Saturn thing. It's not just about earthly things. It's about wisdom up here.
hmm,
Saturn is the most. Sorry, Capricorn is the most. The reason it's the most mature sign in the zodiac is because Capricorn understands the importance of bringing spirituality to the earth plane.
hmm,
Capricorn has that energy of like I know what to do, not because I know it, but because you need to be disciplined and patient to learn through the process. It's like an inner wisdom. It's like a that's Capricorn, right? So,
hmm.
um, yeah. So, do you ever feel? Do you ever get any nervousness around you? feelings of nervousness? Like, yeah, not nervousness, but like physically speaking, do you ever get sensations of like you don't know how to, like a certain sensitivity?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Uh-huh.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. So with that being part of the whole core beliefs, it ties into the opposite, which is in midheaven, which is about career, vocation, path. That's not really path, but like what kind of career you would get into. And because it was in Cancer, opposite of Capricorn, and you have Venus there. Usually, what this means with Venus in, first of all, Venus was in the ninth house. So I would say, like, did you did you ever feel judged by foreigners, or at least in foreign lands? I know that you traveled quite a lot, but did you ever feel like that? You related with foreigners, but then you kind of felt,
Yeah, and something that I really don't like. I don't like to be a tourist. I don't like to go somewhere. So it's like that's why sometimes I did not like to go to Asia because they always see that you are not from there. And I don't like that. So in South
yeah.
America it was better, but still, of course, they knew that I'm not from there. I don't know if I felt judged, but I don't like that they could be judging me.
Yeah, yeah,
And
that's
I
true.
think so. I thought
Yeah,
about
I
it,
feel
yes.
yeah, I feel like that too. Yeah, that's your Pluto actually. Genuineness, right? I didn't
Mhm.
click that. See, Uranus is being weird this year. I told you it's weird. Expect the unexpected. Okay. Alles ist unerwartet.
Mhm.
Anyways, um, what do you call this? So with this is part of your reputation. This is your ego going like you want to relate to the world is actually in conflict with how people see you. They think of you.
Hmm.
They think of you as like this kind of like you're kind of closed in. You're hard to read. Okay, but that's
Hmm.
not what you want to portray. You're trying to portray to the world. I'm I'm friendly. I'm open. Okay, talk to me. But it's hard to read,
Hmm.
right? That in turn
Yeah.
actually ties. Yeah. So that means that you kind of open up to people. Your soul basically is the moon. You open up to people who are like who understand your need for, and we're talking needs as well. This is also the moon. Your needs
Hmm.
for not only that disciplines, not just this surface discipline. I mean, like, how to explain this one? It's consistency. Let's just put it that way.
Hmm.
Consistency, predictability, um, security, um, but not security for this. Not really out of fear, but discernment. There you go. That's the word I'm looking for. Being discerning, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
completely different angles to look at how I am. So that's really interesting. Like I have to connect the dots, but it makes sense.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I like when I read things, sometimes I doubt myself, but I'm like, nope, I'm reading whatever is in the chart and I'm getting some things as well. Part of it is a little bit of download,
Nice.
you could call it. But
Hmm.
sometimes it's hard with astrology because I feel
Hmm.
I'm still holding that sort of listening in.
Hmm.
Because usually when I see things, I close my eyes, I see images right away.
Hmm.
Like it's not, some of it is my thoughts, some of it is, a
Hmm.
lot of it is like, what the heck is that? What am I seeing? What is that? Yeah, it's
Hmm.
so weird. I don't know. It started coming in a few years ago. But anyways, we're not here for that. We're not here for this. Um, so business wise, you generally have this core belief of, your moon and your Venus opposite of each other is you've had to learn how to balance relating with people unlike yourself, and you want to kind of create created this bond. So you, in a way, what that means for your how you view business, or at least not just business, but like the path towards that, like what is my vocation?
Mhm.
You want that. You kind of want that sort of like evenness in relationships. You want the relationships, not in just relationship, but like even contracts, right? You have here Venus, you have your ascendant here in Libra, and you have your Venus here, which rules Libra, but Libra rules the seventh house, and Venus rules the seventh house. And what that means is that because the seventh house isn't just relationships, it's also contracts.
Mhm.
So, and it's also traditionally speaking, in a traditional astrology, the seventh house also represents like business partners. So, which is funny because your North Node is here. So that means something
Mhm.
to do with partnering with people. It has something to
Mhm.
do with that, right? Your path. So it's one of those things that probably are a little bit scary still, maybe. I don't know. But it's one of those
Mhm.
things that's like the path to the unknown. This is the North Node, right? The one I'm talking about. North Node in Taurus for you means that in your past life, you were used to having all this sort of like very Scorpio sort of like catharsis. Give me lots of like intensity and power. It's all about power. It's all about
Mhm.
knowing where your place is, and a lot of risk taking in the past too. A lot of risk taking, a lot of power struggles, a lot of transformation. You were open to
Mhm.
that, so you know how to transform. You know how to. It's natural for you. You actually come.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just like you get into a physical thing or an emotional, breakdown or something, and you just process it. You just
Mhm.
process it. You can just do it easily. But the opposite is knowing how to let go of what you cannot transform
Mhm.
and learning how to be in flow with the physical. It's almost like the physical is almost like I don't want to be attached to that. But some part of you what's one of the things you're learning to do is to work with the earthly stuff, like
Mhm.
physical, without being attached to it. You don't
Mhm.
have to be attached to it, you just have to appreciate it. Um, so how that ties in with your career, so to speak, is that this North Node right here, you see this? The square here, it squares Mercury. So
Mhm.
communicating and relaying and transmitting all that stuff, like any sort of transmission of message, way to communicate, self-expression, um, still probably is a challenge for you, especially with like agreements you have with in business or your career or the choices you make. Right? A
Mhm.
choice is also a contract in a way because you
Mhm.
say I'm choosing this, right? Um, and it's also square Jupiter. You have this grand, what do you call this? A fixed square. Oh wait, no, that's not what it is. So your south node. Do, do, do. So that square right there is showing me this is a big, huge challenge for you. You're. It's almost like you often question where you're headed because your upbringing in the family as a child was like it was so unpredictable. It's almost like you don't. It's almost like it's part of your belief. It's like, oh, it's just gonna come. I don't know what to do about it. Then fuck it.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm. Mhm.
so it's almost
Yeah.
like there's a, and because it was retrograde, you have this inner sort of doubt in yourself that it's almost like opportunity is always you're gonna miss it all the time,
Mhm.
right? Because you're just, and this is what your belief is in it. Your perception of your opportunity, your self, the belief in yourself to be open to opportunity, chance. Yes, foreigners, foreign lands, traveling. Could be language as well. It could be big business, especially. It's almost like you can't get into it. It's almost like there's a part of you that goes like, your mind goes like, oh, it's in Leo, so your Mercury's in Leo, so pride gets affected. your pride. You get actually quite technical about it. Analyze this, analyze that. And at the same time, trying to figure out, how do I get this opportunity? You get quite technical about it as well. Um,
Uh, yeah, absolutely.
yeah, you actually not only get technical about it, but you might also, one, um, your sense of benevolence in yourself, that opportunistic sort of self, that side of you. Okay. Keep in mind that, by the way, anytime we have planets in astrology, typically planets, they represent actually the fragmented parts of ourselves. I don't know if you remember this term about, I don't know if you watch Teal Swan stuff.
Hmm.
Okay, she's awesome, right?
Yeah,
She takes shadow work at a different level, to a different level.
yeah.
So I love it.
I met
So
her in Switzerland. Like I was at the workshop with her. So
you were
it's
there? Oh my gosh. Oh my god. That's awesome.
amazing.
Okay,
It's really nice. Yeah,
awesome.
she's amazing.
So shadow work, that's awesome. Yeah, I
Mhm.
love shadow work. It's very healing, very healing. Right? And then we can
Mhm.
elevate. That's the way I see it. Can't just elevate without shadow work. I'm sorry, the shadow work
Mhm.
is important.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm. Yeah.
what was I saying there? I lost my train of thought. Oh, okay. So, yeah. So your because Jupiter was in Aquarius, Uranus here was in Sagittarius. Uranus rules Aquarius, but Saturn also rules Aquarius. So you have this sort of like risk-taking, abrupt sort of like, it's almost like your belief in your own self, your core beliefs. Part of it is like you have thoughts about it that are very not only analytical, but also very kind of like you're you may have a tendency to conclude the facts without actually getting the right facts, so to speak. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, my mother tells me that sometimes. So
And that's okay. That's okay.
yeah.
Yeah. But the good thing about Mercury in Leo is that you actually have downloads available. It comes
Mm.
to you, right? What do you do? What's your modality?
Like I'm a coach. Yeah, I'm a coach. I'm a spiritual life coach, but I do a lot of manifestation stuff on
Ah, okay.
YouTube
Okay.
and yeah, coaching. So
Do you,
yeah.
have you ever done any psychic stuff? Have you ever worked on that?
Um, a bit, but I know that it's there. Like when I coach and I let go of myself, not of myself, but of what I think, then there are like coming things through that are amazing for the other person, and
Good.
it's like
Awesome.
when I stop being in between, like these downloads and what I want to serve, then it's like perfect. And it just flows. Like yeah,
Absolutely.
you
Yeah,
can feel
that's
that it's not for me. Like I'm really it's I talk and it's like coming out
awesome.
really,
There
really.
you go. That's your
Mm,
um so this is part of your journey towards your vocation. But now we're going to go into the cusp of the ninth house right here. It's in Gemini. So that means it goes back to Mercury. Mercury communication, something to do with spiritual communication, downloads, angels
mm,
as well. Angels is part of that as well.
mm,
I think so. Yeah, that's Leo because it's very childlike. Leo is called the eternal child in the zodiac. It's
mm,
the you're just curious about life. You want to live life. That's what it is,
mhm,
and
mhm,
it's expressed through your voice and actually through your actions too. You have Mars here, right? But house. So regarding big business, sorry. So that means that yeah, a lot of it has to do with communication, something to do with that. But that's not exactly your path. That's just your business thing, right? Um,
mm,
Usually, I found that when I follow my North Node more, that's when things start to kind of start rolling. Not necessarily because I want business. I mean, there's one of the things that you have to be careful about with Moon and Capricorn. So Capricorn, because it's so grounded in the physical, it's almost like you always have the tendency. Okay, this is also the Moon. This is tendency to want things proven. There's a part of you that goes like, I want physical. This is why you're in manifestation too, because you want it physical. But you
Ah,
know, yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah. But that that's not always true.
Yeah.
It's not just physical manifestations. It's also other things, right? So,
But it gets in my like got in my way, still gets in my way. Like this feeling of where's the proof? Like, does God exist? Like, even if I have all downloads, even if I'm really a spiritual person, I still doubt my spirituality. So that's
absolutely, yeah,
crazy. Mhm.
yeah. No, that's totally fine. That's totally understandable. You have your Saturn. Saturn rules Capricorn, but Saturn was in Scorpio, so that means that you're very stubborn.
Mhm.
You're very stubborn. And but it's part of the earthly process. There's beauty in the physical too. We just have to be again, that word there is discerning, to figure out
Mhm.
what is it that makes us happy, but at the same time happy, right? Happy
Mhm.
here, right? So, because I want to tie this back into the sun right here, because you have sun in Virgo, right? So usually, typically, what that means is you're Virgo. You're open to knowledge. You're open to especially practical knowledge.
Mhm.
Um, in usually when it comes to like, excuse me, um, social groups, communities that you're in. This one you're
Mhm.
in right now, okay? Um, you like it when people get stuff like this, like even this. The fact that you like astrology shows that it's like, oh, you like the technicality of it. But one of the things about astrology is that apparently I didn't realize this about till this year. Astrology is a type of divination.
Mhm.
Yes, it's just more
Mhm.
technical. It sounds more technical, especially today. It sounds more technical. In
Yeah.
traditional astrology, they were a little bit they were factual, but they were also a bit more mystical in a way.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, but anyway, so with it being in Virgo too, then so that means you enjoy. So, you enjoy technicalities. You enjoy hard work. You enjoy being busy, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
and with it being in Virgo, um, Mercury rules Virgo. These are deep
Mhm.
wounding. It could also be subconscious. Um, your wounding comes from being able to express yourself. So expression,
Mhm.
self-expression, communication. It's almost like you lost your voice, but
Mhm.
because you were transforming through it as you got older, you kind of knew how to express yourself a little bit more.
Mhm.
You know, it's not that you didn't know how to express it; just the way you were expressing yourself, maybe to others, were not clear enough. Because it depends on who you're talking to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, people who you talk to, if you talk to anyone with Mercury and let's say Aries, Mercury and Sagittarius, if you talk to anyone with those people, you communicate with them easy
Mhm.
because they just
Mhm.
know it's very abrupt, it's very fire, it's very like you know. So yeah,
Yeah.
did you have a hard time swearing when you were growing up? Did you want to swear but you couldn't? Like
I don't know.
shut.
I don't know. But it would make sense because I had this fire in me, but I never really expressed it as a child or as a young adult. No,
Hmm.
absolutely not. I was already too different, so I did not want that people like even see me. They saw
Yeah,
me, but I didn't want that the people see me.
yeah,
And
you have a lot of earth in you.
mm,
So you're very practical. You're very like grounded. You probably like most of the time like being nature.
mm,
you like things that are not only hands-on but like a real experience. This explains why you have um, what do you call this? You have when you travel, when you go traveling, you don't want to be you want to be part of the locals,
mm,
right?
yeah.
I do that too. I love being with the locals. I don't like
Mhm.
what? Picture. No, I don't want to take pictures. I want to experience it. Why?
Yeah.
You take pictures. I'm not going to take pictures.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, um, yeah. So you have a lot of earth in you. The one thing that you are needing more of the most is fire. You
Mhm.
need that action. You need,
Mhm.
yeah. That's one of the elements that's like kind of not strong, but also back away. It's almost like,
Mhm.
and you let others do the work, almost.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Eastern hemisphere. A lot of your planets are in the eastern hemisphere, so that means you're focused. You're, but it's a combination of your path has also a lot to do with self uh, management.
Mhm.
Yeah, right towards yourself, still helping others and still helping yourself, but more focused on how you how what your place is, not only in this world, but your, I guess, your general direction. I don't know if that makes sense. Something
Mhm.
like that.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I want to go deeper into that. So we've seen that your basic chart is that. What I'm going to show you now is a more complicated chart. Okay. And it's not. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. This is going to give me more information on what is going on. So, okay, now I see. Uh, I kind of so we're still I'm still focusing on what you said about the business stuff and all that. So to me, business is, yes, absolutely like ninth house stuff, but it's more focused on. I feel like I should focus more on your tenth house. The thing
Mhm.
about this, I didn't mention this earlier. I forgot to mention this. Is that your tenth house and therefore your fourth house? Okay, they're both opposite. It's going to be the exact line on the other side of the
Mhm.
wheel. That means that
Mhm.
that means that the tenth house here, being that it is what you call intercepted. An intercepted house means that this is a part of your life, especially when you were younger, that feels locked in. It feels like
Mhm.
it's not going anywhere. There's nothing happening there. But there is. It's almost like it's not showing up. It's almost
Mhm.
like a block, right? So with that being intercepted, that also means your fourth house was also intercepted. Related things, anything to do with the home, um, even businesses relating to real estate. If you had any interest in that at all,
Mhm.
it probably didn't go anywhere. It's almost like you had no control over it. It's almost like I can't express myself in this way.
Mhm.
Okay, so what that means is that there's a huge pull on your Jupiter here. So there's this heavy sort of like the insecurity that you had growing up in the family, which was generally like, I didn't know what my place was. I'm not sure if I'm changing. I'm not sure if I'm. Is there purpose behind this? What's going on here? It shows it's being pulled by these three planets, or at least these planets right here. So you have your not just so with those pulling at Jupiter, it's almost like Jupiter felt like you probably had this sense of like, in a way, opposite of opportunity. Maybe you felt a certain pessimism around your family, like you kind of, yeah, okay.
Mhm.
Um, and with the planets here, because they're pulling at it, there's this sort of emphasis to. This is why you asked me. The first thing you asked me was business. This is why. I think business
Mhm.
for you. Did you mean literally like business itself, or do you also mean career? Because I feel like it's also career, right?
Yeah, it's like what I'm doing now. I feel like that's my purpose, like what I'm doing,
Uh-huh.
and of course, I want more. I want to reach more people. I want to be like being able that people see me and the right people find me.
This because there I actually saw planets conjunct your ascendant, which
Mhm.
showed me it's like, oh, this is we're gonna go into detail later. I'll show you.
Mhm.
But Venus is also, I didn't mention this earlier, but Venus is also about your self worth. It's part of your
Mm.
value, how you value yourself. Anything we value. anything we put value on is the Venus as well.
Mm.
Because it's about pleasure. It's about like it's appreciation. It's the word estimation, worth. It's similar to Venus, right?
Mm.
Esteem, self-esteem.
Mhm.
That's part of Venus
Mhm.
as well. So that affects like your reputation in the world. We already talked about that, but we also have two planets conjunct your midheaven. So conjunct is two planets come like, together. I don't know if you already learned this, but it means that two
Mm-mm.
planets are
No.
together. That's okay. Aspects. These are aspect lines right here. These are any of
Mhm.
those blue, red. Um, of course, there are different styles in astrology. There are different style like chart styles. So it depends. This is the style I like to use because
Mm.
I like space. I like learning through like having different colors and spaces. I don't like cramped. I don't like that. I like
Mhm. Mhm.
space. I like being able to distinguish things. Um, so with Ceres and Orcus here, fragmented self. That's why I mentioned Teal Swan, right?
Mhm.
Ceres represents us the need to kind of learn how to be our own parent, kind of be an independent nurturer. Because usually when it comes to nurture, it's the parents nurture us. But with Ceres, it's a higher vibration of the moon. That's what I'm talking about. Your basic needs, that's the moon. Near Ceres is also needs, but it's more about emotional needs.
Mm.
Right? You're being your own parent as well. Um, according to the story of Ceres' daughter Persephone. You know Persephone.
Mhm.
Actually, that Ceres is the Roman name. What's her name in Greek mythology? Demeter.
Mhm.
Demeter was her
Mhm.
name. Her daughter was Persephone. So Persephone went to Hades, right? Half of the year she was there, half of the year she went back up. So Ceres represents loss and gains as well. Ceres represents the part of us that needs to accept that, oh, there's always going to be losses. There's always going to be
Mhm.
gains. There's always going to be death. There's always going to be life. It's a cycle. Um, but because Ceres also deals with the body, specifically at a more DNA level, Ceres apparently rules. When I say rules, I mean this is what they're about. Ceres
Mhm.
rules. Um, what do you call that? Epitomology. Epitomology, like how the environment changes your DNA.
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh. So, but we also have Orcus here. Orcus is about integrity. Orcus is like Pluto or Hades.
Mhm.
Orcus is from a different mythology. It's not Greek, or is it Greek? Etruscan. It's Etruscan.
Ah.
Yeah. In Etruscan. Have you been to Italy?
Yeah, yeah. Like I'm, yeah, nearby.
Oh, okay. Well, but
Often.
have you been to Tuscany?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where the Etruscans were. So Orcus is an Etruscan
Yeah,
god.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. Of course. No. So.
So Orcus represents the part of us that wants to be in line with truth. Orcus
Mm.
represents, it's kind of like Pluto, like revealing the truth, but it's more about sticking with the truth. When I
Mm.
say truth, I don't necessarily mean like truth of general truth, more like your own personal truth. What is it that we want? It's really integrity. That's Orcus,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Um, so I'm assuming that you want something real with this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to consult I have a cheat chart here. Cheat chart. Well, it's a cheat sheet, really, but let me go here. I work with so many planets. I do more than a regular astrologer. It's crazy.
Uh-huh.
I'm crazy like that. Let me double check here. Is that I want the PDF. Thank you for being patient, and I know you are patient anyway. So,
Oh, nice.
but I appreciate it. Where did that go? I opened it. No, open. Okay, I think it started. So Orcus, I wanted to give a more physical approach to this one.
Mm.
I'm just waiting till the file opens. Hold on. Quit that for a second. I need to quit certain.
Can you give me a minute? I'll just come back
Yeah,
so
go.
you can
Yeah, go ahead.
it can open slowly, and I will be back.
Sure.
I'm back.
Okay. Did you get it? Did you go into any sort of contract related stuff?
At the moment,
No, like I mean, maybe. Mm, okay. So, because
not anymore. Like
not anymore. Okay.
I worked always, like in.
Finding what's healthy for you, maybe what's real and healthy and natural for you, right?
Mm,
Mm.
mm-hmm.
Because in your north node here, with it, these three being in conjunction right here, it's called this. Well, the nodes are not planets,
Mm-hmm.
right? The nodes are not planets. Oops. But it's still a stellium. Okay. Anyways, it's a stellium. A stellium, for your sake, because you have Sun in Virgo. You know,
Mm-hmm.
a stellium is three or more bodies or planets. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a stellium here, but here with Sedna and Pholus conjunct your north node. Sedna again, I don't know. Oh, I never told you that. Sedna is absolute forgiveness. Sedna
Mm-hmm.
is accepting. It's acceptance of pain and loss and death and abandonment and betrayal. That's her story. Her story was her father. Um, he had this. She felt obligated to. Sedna is an Inuit goddess.
Mm-hmm.
She's the one who. She's the creator. She's the one who created the seas. Yes, she's a sea goddess of the oceans and seas. But her father in the story was she felt obligated to um, fulfill family obligations. Like she felt
Mm-hmm.
like she needed to do that, but she didn't want that. She kind of went against it and said, "No, I'm going to leave you." And then there's this foreigner who was in the it was he was a raven in the guise of a human being. But what that symbolizes, what that represents, is freedom, the promise of freedom from an external body. If you look at it from an astronomical point of view, Sedna is said to have been kicked off a long time ago, millions of years ago, or billions of years ago, in the solar system. She was kicked off because she was pulled out of her comfort zone, the family she was in, right? She was kicked
Mm-hmm.
because there's parts of the planet of Sedna that has I think it's water. Yeah, it is water. Yeah. So it's like that's weird. How is the planet way out? Way out. Sedna is the farthest planet discovered today.
Mm-hmm.
Her revolution around the sun is about 1,000 years, 1,100 years, quite a long time.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So she represents huge, like human cycles. That's why Sedna right now is coming in, and she's bringing back in like this. That's why a lot of people are going into permaculture, healthier lifestyle, new information. Even me as a language teacher, bringing back natural ways of not studying language. Okay, that was the past fucking like 500
Mhm.
years of like, you know, brainwashing, right? Bringing back this like thing of like just be natural. Sedna
Mhm.
represents that, but Sedna represents not only cycles, but the reason why we have the cycles is because we're starting to realize that we've lost ourselves. So
Mhm.
Sedna represents that sort of like, I lost my way, I don't know how to do. But if you just trust in your inner nature, if you trust in the letting go process, you will be cleansed through it. That's why she represents water as well.
Mhm.
So, um, and Pholus is about making like rash decisions. He was a centaur uh, who um, who got hit by his own arrow because he made a mistake and he was too like in a hurry, or he was too brash. He just made this decision, like a last minute decision. Pholus is all about that, but it's also learning from our decisions. It's second, not, well, not really second chances, sort of. Um, so how that ties into your North Node is that I'm going to look at Sedna here. Okay, 1 second. Huh? So Sedna sees also blubber, like fat, animal
Mhm.
fat. Yeah. Hmm, something to do with Native Americans, Inuit for sure. Yeah. Um, something to do with environmental cohesion or environmentalism. Okay. Maybe foster systems,
Mhm.
or fostering any sort of fostering. It doesn't have to just be family. It could be foster foster gardening, foster farming, because it is Taurus, right? It's here in Taurus,
Mhm.
right? So, um, but also Pholus is there, so it has a lot. Hold on, let me go back to the foster. Okay, so environmentalism, fostering, government intervention. No, no, doesn't apply here. Um, illnesses, famine, so a lack
Mhm.
cycles. So you probably go through these these relational cycles. You probably, um, but because it's in retrograde, it's almost like, what do you call this? Was there any sort of relationship you've had in the past? Any relationship? It could be romantic, family, friendships, whatever, sibling. Were they did you find that the you couldn't really, how do you call this? It's almost like you couldn't part of you couldn't let them go, or
Mhm.
at least accept the fact that you're different people, or that did you feel a sense of like abandonment from relationships, but you didn't know it was abandonment, or that you didn't know
Mhm.
that they were using you, or like kind of, you ever get into kind of like that relationships, or even contracts too? Contracts is part
Mhm.
of that too.
Mhm. I guess, yeah. Like even like my father comes to my mind that yeah. So it's
Mm-hmm.
could be yeah.
You had to process things. You had this sort of uncertainty about relationships, particularly
Mhm.
in which ones help you in this lifetime, which relationships or contracts or agreements serve you to fulfill your higher
Mhm.
purpose.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, but at the same time, decision for you making sort of decisions was kind of like you didn't know that whether or not the choices you made actually had any consequences. It's almost like you did not see the consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Does that kind of
Mm-hmm.
make sense? Along those lines.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Also, no, I lost it. I had a good thought, but now it's gone.
Okay, sorry. I talked
Yeah,
too much.
no, something like because I was in many years. I was like just
Mhm.
like really like I think that's this Scorpio transformation stuff in me.
Yeah,
That's like it was
yeah,
really hard, good time, hard time, but at the same time, it's like, and there were a lot of relationships, a lot of people, a lot of things, and I was not pursuing my path. I was just living and trying to like maybe to not feel the pain to be in this world or to be so different or to be like because I did the path that I'm going now, like what I'm working now, what I'm birthing in this world. It's like I think I always wanted it, but I never did it because it felt like it's impossible. It's not possible, and so I went the route of drugs and partying
that makes
and
sense.
just
Yeah, you were risk taking it because there was,
hmm
you have your Vesta. I also have Vesta in the first house for me,
hmm
but your Vesta in Scorpio means that a part of you wanted to commit to catharsis. You wanted like you have sex. It's like that feeling,
hmm
like that catharsis. This is why people people know it's like, oh, Scorpio is very about sex, but it's more than not just out there, but also it wants to bring idealism and physical idealism to the to the to the physical.
mm
But sometimes
hmm
that can be dangerous.
yeah.
Scorpio, yeah, Scorpio is very dark. There's a reason for that. Is because did you know that in the darkness itself, like the void, is actually where real creation comes from.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's not like it's not through
Mhm.
the light. It's through the darkness, because the darkness is it's almost like we allow this natural compulsion, this inner natural universal cosmic wisdom, and knowing that when you are absolutely still, not just physically still, like trusting stillness, it's almost like you just know what to do. You just know how to create from there. And
Mhm.
I can see why you did the whole drugs, and you're just gonna be like, I'm just gonna fucking do whatever the fuck I want because it feels good. It feels like I'm in it right now, and then you meet friends that are like in that same vibe, the same energy, and just going with it. And Ixion is one of those things. Ixion is violations.
Mhm.
Ixion
Mhm.
Ixion is really about bliss. The reason we have violations in the first place is because we are not in touch with true bliss, like happiness. So it's
Mhm.
related to catharsis. It's almost
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
you is like this, like, and it's tied to your south node. You don't see it here, but it's tied to your south node. I'm gonna go back to this chart. I'll show you what I mean. So
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
yeah, this is your south node. It's 11 degrees, right? And then you have here its conjunct Ixion core
Mhm.
and Vesta actually right here. So that means you were committed to that. It's almost like part of your sacredness. It's part of it felt sacred to you in a certain way, to a certain
Mhm.
degree, in a
Mhm.
certain way. Depends on who you're with, of course. Um, and so in a way, there's a part of you that fought. There's a part of you that fought that that purpose, the North Node thing, right? Because you're just like, okay, so I don't want I don't want to be I don't want to be attached to physical things in the earth. So I'm going to escape. I'm going to escape
Mhm.
towards sex and drugs and risk taking, even like
Mhm.
taboo things like taboo. That's Scorpio. But at the same time, there's the irony. There's the shadow here. The shadow is playing a role here. You were actually attached to the physical because you wanted
Mhm.
to escape it. Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm, yeah. So now it's about balancing all that stuff.
Mhm.
Your goal is now to balance where the role of the physical and the role of the spiritual. They both connect.
Mhm.
Eckhart Tolle, he says,
Mhm.
you mix the vertical with the horizontal. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, right. So that's what it is. That's how it is to be human. You have to have both,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
I mean, eventually we'll get somewhere, but I mean,
Mhm.
completion isn't. It's an illusion, right? The end goal is an illusion. Because if we're done, what's the point?
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. So it's the universe inside us that wants to do all these things. So now going back to tying this to your uh, not only purpose is so I guess your purpose here or your north node. I wouldn't say necessarily purpose because north node is more like the path, the unknown path that you're headed towards. Um, let's see here. So something to do with water, something to do with agriculture, possibly. Um, wondering if something like a farm. What do you think about farming, like with natural animals? Like permaculture is the one thing that comes to mind.
Mhm.
Permaculture,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's kind of the goal, like at least living like this. Like I just told you, we would like to maybe move to the United States or somewhere else, and um, and then of course, like the goal is to at least be able to provide for us and maybe for some other people as well, or like doing these changes, like oh, I give you apples and you give me bananas or
Yeah, yeah,
something,
yeah. Like yeah,
and
back. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, yeah, tell me.
Oh no, it's back to like bartering,
Mhm.
kind of like returning to bartering system.
Yeah, kind at least for food or at least for vegetables and these
Yeah.
kind of things, to be more in nature. Like, yeah, I think I was never there. So before I was more like, I think, as you said, it's like in South Note, more like all
Yeah,
these
you
crazy
were
stuff.
because it came naturally to you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
absolutely. That's
felt
my
in
nature,
control.
kind of. Yeah, and so it's more like the slow life. I think living slower, doing things that I love,
hmm With the
and
earth.
yeah,
It's with the earth.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 And I feel that's a good like place to go,
hmm
but it doesn't come natural. Like it feels like yeah, it's a goal. I would say it's a goal to being able to provide for ourselves
hmm
for at least basic food and being in natural cycles with nature. Like
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And learning how to be more trusting with the guides, the guidance you get, the signs, being actually in the moment as well, because
mm-hmm,
that's a Leo thing as well, being childlike, being just in the moment,
mm-hmm,
trusting it instead of always like completely being in control. That's very Scorpio. It wants to be in control. It wants to be in power because it's afraid. Scorpio understands trauma. There's something about the
mm-hmm,
Scorpio energy that's like right? There's two symbolisms of Scorpio, two main ones, which is one is a scorpion, of course, which is very defensive, very locked in,
mm-hmm,
very carnal, super like absolutely carnal, very. It's all about the hunger. It's all about satisfying just the body. It's all about protection, preservation, fear,
mm-hmm,
right? Did you know that sometimes the Scorpio mother eats its own, eats its young?
mm-hmm. No.
They're related to
Hmm.
crabs. Scorpions and crabs are related, right? So
Mm-hmm,
it's similar. Um, if you ever, I'm just going to digress a little bit here, okay? Um,
mm-hmm,
if you look at countries, um, cultures and countries where the sun, predominantly the what they call the personal planets, the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, those are the personal planets. If they're in water signs, most likely there's going to be a tendency of what do you call this? Kind of like this emotional process or this it's a culture, it's a collective sort of psyche mentality of like it's not about extremes, it's more like recycling towards the new.
mm-hmm,
And what I'm trying to get here is that I'm going to jump the gun here. I'm just going to, well, because this is what I noticed, that cultures that tend to have water, a lot of water in their culture, at least astrologically speaking, the water,
Mhm.
um, there will be some themes in their culture pertaining to cannibalism,
Mm.
because that's water is represents transition to fire, which is birth, right? Water is this whole like you gotta rot first. You have to have decay first before you can
Mhm.
rise again. So this ties in with the Scorpio thing, which is like Scorpio is really taboo, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
this explains why. I'm not saying that I personally get that's one of my phobias. Like people like cannibals and like we're not supposed to even do that as humans. As humans, we can't do that. It's
Mhm.
not good for the body. We get like there's some kind
Mhm.
of disease we get in the brain. Yeah, and it's scary to me. It's like it's the scariest shit ever. It's like it's scarier than zombies. Because zombies at least is like oh it's fantasy. No, no, no,
Yeah,
no.
yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So anyway, however, I have thought about it to myself, but I was just like, huh, maybe only if it's absolutely necessary, like for survival. But
Mhm.
but with the way the world is changing now,
Mhm.
we need to change that. It's like there's no stop surviving, stop being afraid of dying, because that's the only
Mhm.
reason why we have cannibals in the first place. Right?
Yeah, yeah,
Well, real cannibalism is because it's about survival.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I think I'm talking about people who
Do
who
it for
do it.
fun.
Yeah, it's just like what? Did something happen to you? What's going on? Like, so, anyways,
Crazy.
that's the extreme side of Scorpio, right? I'm just saying
Mhm.
that so, but trusting the process. You've heard this from Matt Schaefer. He's like TTP,
Mhm.
right? Trusting the process. Um, that's part of your vocation as well. I don't know.
Mhm.
You definitely have been doing some permaculture. Are you actually doing that right now?
Like learning. We have a garden now, and we're doing like we
Okay.
just started. It's just raining for days, but it's like the summer is not coming, but it would be. And we have our first piece we ate today,
Oh,
like that we.
okay.
So it's
Okay.
really, yeah, we started slowly, but getting there. Hmm.
Uh,
Learning everything. Because it's not something that, like me and my boyfriend, we did not learn it. Like no one taught us that, so we have to
okay.
learn it for ourselves. All these.
There's a course that I was well, not really a full course, but part of it. I was taking by this guy. I'll send you the link on
Yeah,
school.
yeah.
He had this like sale. I don't know if he's gonna offer it again, but I paid.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was $47 Canadian, so that's about 40 or less American dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was paying for it for a few months. Like I was paying monthly, 47, 47, 47. But I got this course, and it's an introduction of permaculture. I forgot
Mm.
what's his name again. I'll send it to you. But
Yeah, yeah.
I want to get into it. But the thing is, like where I'm located, it's I don't know. It's gonna be hard. I don't know. I'll probably change something because the house that I live in here, it is not my house really. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's my parents. But I'm planning to get. I don't know what will happen. I'm not sure. We'll see where it goes. But I definitely am planning. I'm still wanting to do permaculture stuff because it's not only natural, like really natural. It's also self-sufficient, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
But do you live like do you have nature around? Could you do something there where you live?
There's a backyard,
Easy.
but not really like full nature because I live in the city. So,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I don't like. I want to be like nature, like rural
Yeah.
area. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that ties in with what you're probably doing as well. So, I'm gonna read some of the stuff about full morning ritual, vitamins, okay, street lamps, light bulbs, candles, extracts, dominoes, subtle changes, subtle leftovers. bottom of the barrel, crossroads, small animals. That kind of ties in with the permaculture because it's Taurus, right?
Mm.
Also, the educational system is part of that. Um, so educating yourself through permaculture, but also through also meditations.
Mm.
Oh, okay. Let's go back to Sedna.
Mm.
Um, but shamanism is the one that caught my eye. There's like you
Mhm.
mentioned like witchcraft, right? It's like well, they're connected.
Mhm.
I'm gonna look into this other one. Let's see here. Hmm. Oh, you have Imhotep. Your south node was in 17 degrees around this line right here.
Mhm.
And with Imhotep conjunct that, uh, astrology will come naturally to you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so you're fine. You get that's why you get what I'm saying. Um, yeah, yeah. But you also will be have a lot of like, opportunities towards that. It's where your passion may lie as well. You probably have, you know. But there's a part of you that is Adrastea is a planet of service and duty. So obligations to connections, family, communities, any sort of group sort of thing. Any sort of career choices, fostering, nursing, nannies, housemaids. Did you do any of those stuff when you were younger? Any of those stuff?
No. No.
Interesting. Okay. You could have. I mean, that's possible. Family debt, trust funds. Those are the kind of things. But this is your
Mhm.
past life. We're not here for your past life. I'm just
Mhm.
trying to
Mhm.
explain. There's Pandora as well. She brings chaos. The Pandora's box, right? So
Mhm.
you probably that's why that explains the whole chaos thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Daphne is also avoidance. Daphne is
Mhm.
Daphne is the part of us that doesn't is afraid of love, is afraid of commitments, because we're afraid of getting hurt or afraid of like someone's chasing me, but I don't want to be chased. That's part of Daphne's story, so that has a lot to do with the process. But we're not here to focus on the south node. We're seeing that based on its connection to your north node, your unknown path where you're headed towards, it's you can bring all these abilities of responsibility, the commitment. Okay, I don't have information on Cyrene. I included it there just in case. But also passion, that drive, and
Mhm.
um, creating chaos is not always bad. It's kind of like shaking the ground. Not shaking the
Mhm.
ground. So what? Rocking the boat. Right? If you can rock the boat, but at the same time, be confident in your own purpose, in your own zeal, passion, and drive towards that, without being crazy, right? But
Mhm.
crazy is still, good crazy, a whole crazy,
Yeah.
and tying that to astrology, because Imhotep is not just astrology. Imhotep is uh, priesthood, something about priesthood,
Mhm.
something about understanding the universal mathematical structures. That's Imhotep. Um, but we didn't mention Vesta. Really, we didn't really talk about Vesta. Vesta is the part of us that believes in the sacredness of things, a commitment, a devotion.
Mhm.
Um, for you, because it is as it was in Scorpio, and I said this already, it's a devotion towards you know the ultimate freedom, which is catharsis through death. It's not really
Mhm.
death. It could be literal death, but it could be a death of something. That's why it's called transformation.
Mhm.
That's why Scorpio rules transformation. So tying that into your North Node, you can bring all those forward and look at the things that serve you now towards your future. But yeah,
Mhm.
I kind of wanted to look into. Hold on. I want to see where I got. Oh, there's more. You also have. Wow, yeah, I totally forgot about this one. So that's you're drawn to that. But I want to go into. We'll go back to that 1 second. Where did I find? Ah, there's Cersei right there. So Cersei is kind of like witchcraft, but Cersei is about creating boundaries and not letting anyone in.
Mm-hmm.
It's a certainty of your own. Um, not. It's not really. I hear a lot of divine feminine. It's not just that. Cersei is uh, being certain of your own inner power, right? So inner power, charm, and charisma. Okay, but that's part of your transformational process. It's in the eighth house. I'm not going to worry too much about that. I'm going to see what Venus, Hera. Nope, I don't see second favor. I did separate charts because I wanted to work with specific points. Uh, one second. Did you have any questions while I do this?
I was just thinking about the one thing that you said that people can't read me. Like I'm like I don't know. That just came to my mind.
Yeah.
Because I think like I understand. Like I'm also like in human design. I don't know if you know that. Like I'm a projector, so I see a lot, and so I'm always like understanding the room and what happens. And but I also like I felt that many people have like this natural respect of me. Like they would never touch me. They would never like do so. I don't know. People kind of were always scared. Not really scared. A lot of people loved me always, but it's like they were like
Oh,
this. If I looked at them and then there was
that's
silence. Like never
okay.
someone came to me and told me like fuck you or something because they were always like kind of scared. I don't know, kind of scared. That's
Well,
what I'm thinking.
yeah, that
I feel
explains the
so
Venus.
relatable,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah.
You might have also experienced. Did you experience any like betrayal and abandonment? Not necessarily abandonment, but kind of. Yeah.
Friend. I never was like betrayed, I think. I don't know. More in friendships, not from not romantic love.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Not that they were all good, like on contrary, but it's like
Up into pieces.
mm. Oh, okay, yeah, I have friends that I would like to chop. I had friends I would like to chop into pieces.
I love how you're open about it. Okay. Um. So, but there's also Niobe there. Niobe represents. It's a combination of grief and grandiosity,
Hmm.
right? Because Niobe in the mythology, she showed off. She told Leto, is it the goddess Leto? Because Leto's children were Apollo and Artemis.
Mm-hmm.
She bragged. She said, I have 14 children. My husband is the son of a god. My blah 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 is my grandfather is this one. I am from divine. I'm better than you. But at the same time, she was more like she didn't know how to. She was projecting her own insecurity because she was just so proud. Because she was like, even if she had all this like progeny, right? She wasn't really proud of them. So Niobe in ourselves represents that sort of um, we become grandiose and we like to show off because we're trying to prove to the world our worth, right?
Mm.
So, but for you, it's almost like you didn't know how to do that. It's almost like you had this internal pride, but you kind of like I think I think I might get in trouble for this. I don't know, right?
Mm.
Yeah,
It still is, I think. I
mm,
still feel it.
yeah. So but it's in the sixth house. So sixth house is a physical house. So there could have been things that I don't know. Let's take a look here. Have any issues with? I'm gonna just say it out here, okay? There's a bunch of places in the body: tear ducts, heart, chest, stomach, immune system, bloodstream, circulatory storage system, uh, heart itself specifically, like a broken heart. Do you have heart problems? Any chronic diseases?
I
Adrenaline,
think,
blood pressure, nausea,
mm,
fatigue, headaches, dry
I have
mouth?
low blood pressure, low,
Okay, that explains that.
and with my lungs. But when I was like a baby, when I had some stuff. Now it's okay. But when I was a baby, I had like this really lungs
Oh,
problem.
okay.
So,
Okay, your vulnerability to infections. Okay.
mm,
Ah, okay. Increased inflammation. You probably had inflammation.
before I think now I'm healthy.
Okay,
I
good, good.
can.
Yeah, yeah. That's,
Mhm,
um, so as long as you're able to process that stuff, and
mm,
because it's opposite of ascendant, which is opposite of Osiris also. So that means that any losses that you ever that you might even go through, any sort of not just losses, but loss of your limbs, loss of
mm,
things that the ego feels like, oh, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine.
mm, mhm,
Opposite of that of Niobe, to me feels like if we don't balance acceptance of that loss as an opportunity for something else, what happens? What
mhm,
happens is the shadow will come in and be like, you start to get stressed, and then you start to get these inflammations in the body.
mhm,
It
mhm,
might even lead to heart attack.
mhm, mhm,
So I'm not saying heart attack is part of Niobe, but it could be. That's possible,
mhm.
especially
If
with
you don't
pain.
process the emotions, I think.
Absolutely, yes,
But
absolutely.
yeah, of
Especially
course,
with
like yeah.
yeah, especially with betrayal and loss and grief. Yeah, this thing. Especially with Niobe being in Aries. Oh yeah, it's like Aries
Mhm,
rules the head, so headaches possibly,
mhm,
headaches, fevers. Right? I don't know if you've ever
mhm.
had those. Okay, that could happen.
Before, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's under medical astrology. But anyways, I digressed a little bit.
Mhm,
Hecate I found was in your 10th house here.
mhm.
Um, so that means it's part of your career.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna look into Hecate right now and see the things about Hecate. So Hecate is not just magic itself. She's the part of us that is multi-talented. Okay. She's also she's the one who carries both knowledge and wisdom. And I wrote this down because I based it on the mythology. She's especially out of the dark night of the soul. So
Mm,
anything Plutonian, which is actually in your first house physically. Pluto Pluto rules the anus, the any sort of secretion, any sort of body
mm,
fluid secretion, waste, any waste in your body, that's Pluto. Any toxins, waste, things that you haven't been able to process.
mhm,
Okay.
mhm,
There's another part there as well. The digestive system, sort of. That's more of the moon, but Pluto is similar to that. Instinct as well. That's also Pluto. Um, so she's multi-talented. Hecate is multi-talented. She's about inner truth. She's about. She kind of is tied to the fates. She's kind of like that. She carried a lot of. She was in Greece, in ancient Greece. She was like the goddess that was associated with many gods and goddesses because she had all
mhm,
these different abilities. That's because she was everywhere. She honored Gaia. She was the one who is connected to the Virgin Mother Crone, past, present, future. Right. So it's very much like actually there's an actual asteroid that I work with called Moira. Moira is the
mhm,
fates. So she's like that. Hecate is like that. So she understands those things. She understands things that come in threes. She
mhm.
understands rebirth, right? So it's part of your process. But I'll double check what degree it was in. 17 degrees. Okay, so conjunct Mars. So she's conjunct Mars right here. So that means that it's actually conjunct. It's in between these two. So that means that it's like being in Leo. It's almost like you're like a witch child. So you have
Mm.
bridge. You can bridge the gap between the spiritual and the physical. That's actually your theme. Your theme for this whole thing
Mhm.
is balance, which actually is funny because you have when you have a sign when you have an ascendant in a certain sign, the planet that rules that sign is the chart ruler.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
There you
I
go.
was not sure anymore. I was thinking about that yesterday while falling asleep. I was not sure, but
Oh,
now, yeah. Okay, good.
uh-huh.
Okay,
There you go.
Venus.
So
Mhm.
awesome. Um, do you ever? So you work with a lot of stuff with Earth, so that's very good already. She's also about pregnancies and giving birth, child rearing. I don't know if you want to get into being like what do you call it? A doula or
Hmm.
a midwife. The
Hmm.
stereotype midwife, but
Mhm.
someone like that. Um, Again, dogs are part of this too. Again, wow, dogs, lions, traveling at night. She has something to do with that. Purity, maidenhood. So she's like Cersei. Cersei protects herself. This is like,
Mhm.
but Cersei is more about the boundaries itself. Hecate is actual like sorcery, magic. Um, Shamanism is part of that as well. Um, Timelessness, of course. So, but the animals involved here are something to do with dogs, lions, serpents, horses, weasels. Yeah. Again, also instinct and intuition, both instinct and intuition. So up here and down here. Entrances and exits. That one. Sorcerer. Hmm. Security guard. Interesting. Chronologist. Gatekeeper. Sinologist. Sinologist is a study of. It's a study of dogs, something like that. Herpetologist is study of serpents and snakes,
Mhm.
dragons.
Mhm.
Hippolog- Hippologist, one's here. Felinologist, so cats.
Hmm. That's my thing.
Mm, mm. There you go. You can do that too. Yeah. Parapsychologist, the
Hmm.
paranormal. On a lesser, physicist, you can do that. Physicist, you can do astrophysics with astrology because that ties into your south node. You did that a lot in your past life. Um,
Hmm.
Chemist, biochemist, pharmacologist, pharmacognicist, homeopathist. Homeopathy.
Hmm.
That's the one. So anything to do with a lot of nature stuff. So it could be a combination of many things, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Something to do with water, something to do with farming, permaculture, uh, witchcraft, potions, magic, chemistry, biology, esotericism. Uh, Also, don't forget you're already doing it. Astrology, or astronomy, whatever floats
Mhm.
your boat. Multi-talentedness. It's really everywhere.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
so that's that.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's for the business stuff because your question was mainly business. But
Mhm.
yeah, moving wise, you said United States, right?
Like we're really open, but yeah, I think that's the next big goal. I
Okay.
traveled a lot. Like I was in South America and then I traveled first like in Asia, a couple of months, and then we went to South America with the van, like traveling van life, traveling like that. And I felt really good. Like I have even family I found my family in Argentina. Like they left Switzerland in 1920 and went there, and so it's like
You have
amazing. Like
family
I
in
love,
Argentina?
yeah, in all the big cities, they're everywhere. Like a big, I have like 5 uncles and 14 cousins now. And I don't have like I have a small family here and there I have like a huge one.
Wow. Okay, that's
Babies.
interesting. I have relatives from not relatives, but apparently I have a cousin or a distant cousin in Spain.
Uh-huh.
So
But where are you from? Like originally,
um,
you
I was born in the Philippines,
uh-huh.
but I was raised partially in the United States and then the rest in Canada. I left when I was 7. I don't remember. I was young, so very young. So
No.
yeah. So to me, North America is like, I'm used to it. So it's like I think you think the same way. It's like, oh, Switzerland. Mm.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
But
A lot of people
to
around
us,
me.
it's like, ooh, Switzerland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was in South America, everyone told me, "Why do you leave Switzerland? Why are you whatever?" Like everywhere, it's like positive and negative stuff. So it's
Yeah.
just where you feel good.
So yeah, because like when yeah, we can talk about that later. Anyways, I don't want to take up too much of your time. What city in the United States uh, resonate with you?
Like, the state of Arizona, but I don't know the city. So it's like
Okay, let's go with that
we
one.
have there.
Let's go with
Yeah.
this one. Ah, okay. Well, it's tied to your house of the 10th house.
Mm.
Yeah, and it's in Leo, so that means your sun is gonna feel at home there. Yourself, you're gonna feel like, oh, I think okay, I get it. You'll feel that energy. That's very much like, I feel like there's something about it. There's like a childlike energy as well that you're probably gonna feel,
Mm.
right? Um, However, because it's tied to Mars, be prepared to have a lot of it's a strong energy,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of energy you have to bring out. Okay, this is Mars. It's conjunct Mars, Arizona. It's an actual asteroid, but I noticed this about the asteroids that are named after places. They, yeah, that's what I was
Mm.
looking at when I looked at your chart when I was messaging you. I saw a lot of Africa, like your ninth house. Actually, I'll show you.
Yeah. Yeah, my partner is always saying, "Let's go to Africa." I was like, "I don't know where."
A specific city after this one. But
Mhm.
what was that? Yeah. Okay, so here are what we have for Africa. But the fact that the fact that Arizona appeared in your 10th house shows me a lot. It's like, ooh. Okay, so
Okay.
that means it's not exactly where you're supposed to go, but it's part of your experience career-wise.
Mhm.
Here, see
Mhm.
Africa right here. See Africa.
Mhm.
So you can travel to Africa. Um, it might be less fantastic as you might think it is, though. You might be learn of it because you have here Neptune. You can see that right
Mhm.
here. Neptune is in retrograde, so that means you might not come to uh, learn of it as if it's like, is this even real? Like it's kind of like this feeling of like, because Neptune rules fantasy, Neptune rules dreams, and like, oh, so fantastic! I want to escape, but it's in retrograde. So for you, it could be either an internal process that you're like you find your own, you know, uh, you'll find your own ways to discover the fantastic what do you call this? How you might see Africa as like this sort of this oh wonderful place or something like that. Like that fantastic that the fantasy sort of oriented side of yourself that might come.
Mhm.
But you'll probably
Mhm.
look for it inside internally rather than externally. So that's what I'm seeing
Mhm.
because you have the opposition right here. Africa opposite Neptune. But it's also opposite Algeria. If you go to Algeria, for example, as an example,
Mhm.
you might also feel that too naturally. You'd be like, yeah,
Mhm.
just Algeria. Or or you'll come to understand that it's like, maybe I'll look for the little things. Maybe you look for a little hole in the wall. You might, But Africa is a big continent, so it's not gonna. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is in the ninth house, in the house of traveling, like foreign travel. So there's a potential for you to do that.
Mhm. Yeah.
But let's go into American states. I haven't done any separate. So what did you say? So Arizona, right?
Arizona, yeah. Or then also New Mexico. My boyfriend is telling, let's go to New Mexico because he grew up like half of his life in the United
Okay.
States. So he's always saying that
Okay.
as well.
143.
I have.
Okay, no, keep going. Keep going.
Yeah, exactly. I'm at the moment. I'm like drawn to Arizona most of the time.
Okay.
So it's
Yeah, it's part of that too.
ah,
Sapello. Sape- Sapello. Sapello, New
and
Mexico.
that's
Sapello.
New Mexico, right?
Yeah, right there. Yeah.
Ah,
I'm going to type in 157 also with that. Sedona.
Oh yeah, great idea.
157064. Oh, okay. It's part of your curiosity. It's part of where you'll probably experience transformation naturally. You have a conjunction here with Pluto.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Going back to the other charts though, we have here. I'm just going to look at it myself here. I'm not going to change the screen. Okay.
Mhm.
I remember seeing. Yeah, that's probably where you Bounty and Pele. It's a little too far off. Let's go with this other one. I'm gonna go to Pluto. Aha, I found it. Okay. Odin Sisyphus. Ah, okay. Yeah, if you go to Sedona, it's giving me this image of you have Sisyphus, Odin, conjunct Pluto there, but you also have Sedona, right? So that means that with Sisyphus, it's almost like you have to work hard to transform there.
Ah,
Bunch of stuff here. Wow. Okay. Mm, okay. Power struggles is part of that. Okay. Fruitless labor, pointlessness. I'm not trying to be negative, but it's what it is.
like
Um,
everyone goes to Sedona to transform, and I would go and say,
yeah, but
too
it's a good thing
complicated.
though because that means that you are even if it feels like you're going to work at it, it's a good thing because it means that you are. It'll affect your DNA.
Mm-hmm.
It says here DNA alternation. Sorry, that's Sisyphus. Um, what else is there? Something to testosterone, electroshock therapy, lowered metabolism, chamber blood transfusion. No, that's
Oh,
okay, something to do with. I'm not sure. You said. Oh, I also said Odin, right? Odin
mm-hmm.
is there. So Odin is. I mentioned earlier that he's shamanism, but there's something else there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, oh, do you do runes?
No,
Okay, that's a form of divination.
but yeah, I know them, but and I don't use them, but I like
Okay,
them.
that's totally fine. Yeah, because you could either be it's related to witchcraft, being a seer
Mm-hmm.
and a shaman. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, Odin, plant medicine, and that's
Okay.
Sedona. Okay, that's that. Yeah. So if you go there,
Um,
absolutely, it's not just a Sedona thing. It's part of your.
mhm,
It's part of your process. So I'm assuming
mhm.
you've done. I'm assuming you've done plant medicine.
Not really, no, but because I was scared because I have all these other like experiences, like with LSD and these like chemical parts of it. So
Psilocybin.
it's like, yeah, not nothing natural. Always like
Oh,
chemical stuff.
oh, okay.
So really hard to really, um, yeah, it was also like important experiences anyway. But it's no, not yet. Maybe yeah, maybe in the future if it's
Okay.
the right place, at the right looks.
If you remember earlier, there was Ceres and Orcus
Mm-hmm,
here. So
mm-hmm,
in Sapello, you most likely will experience some of that farming, probably, if you
Mm.
stay there long enough. Some of the farming, like grains, growing of grains, probably, um, but also with orchids, something about contracts.
Mm. Mm.
Like, what else did I put in here? Double check here. Oh, sorry, orchis. Because he's about integrity. He's also has to do with. He also rules. Yes, contracts, but also like any sort of like a letter, like physical letters of agreements, um, accountability documents, written or verbal agreements. Again, contracts. What else is here? Maybe something to do with identity verification or something. I don't know. Encryption, something to do with that. Hold on, that doesn't tie here. It's not connected here. Fraud prevention. I don't know how that ties in with this one.
Mm.
But definitely more like accountability documents. So something to do with, creeds, doctrines, oaths, those kind of
Mm.
things that you promise yourself, things that you shake hands with. So maybe, I don't know, maybe some sort of agreement square, your North Node right here, it might come in conflict with what you want more for yourself.
Mm.
So I would say the Sapello thing would be more about taking from it what you can, but not necessarily working through those any agreements that you go into, making sure that it's both right for you, but also
Mm.
something that you can trust, something that you
Mhm.
can get into. So maybe you have connections. I don't know, or at least you'll get to know more about it. So I don't know. With it conjunct Orcus and Ceres, it's more like because Ceres is there. Ceres it signifies losses and gains, right? So there might be this up and down. If you were to live in Sapelo right now, for hypothetically speaking,
Mhm.
you might have all these ups and downs with the farming there. If you're growing
Mhm.
grains or any sort of agreement, or you might even come across people who in Sapelo you have connections. Maybe you live somewhere else and you have connections in Sapelo.
Mhm.
Oh, they have
Mhm.
those. You just again watch out for those agreements that you get into. Make sure it's not
Mhm.
because that's how you want something more, but also something that will change the world. Because your goal here is to change the world. Remember in the previous charts, um,
Mhm.
you have I'm trying to remember Anubis there. You have there was a bunch of us. Hold on, let me double check in. Um, okay, here we go. Um, 1 second. Ah, fame. Okay, and the shadow work as well, but Sedna is there as well. So I think your direction is more towards um, bringing in a different idea of like a different idea, not just a different idea, but bringing in with that Sedna energy of going back to natural
Mhm. Mhm.
and
Mhm.
being that you're ushering in. You're actually here. Anubis is like you. You're an usher. One of your goals is to usher in, bring in new or return to natural. It's both the old and the new. Timeless, right? Your Hecate thing is there as well. It's in your 10th house. So, yeah. Um, there's also a bunch of
Mhm.
things I didn't mention here as well. This is related to both your relocation, but also to back to the business thing. I didn't show you this one, but you have Delphine. You have Delphine in conjunct your Sapello and Orcus
Mhm.
and Ceres. Delphine is visions, but it's also rumors. She's also about
Mhm.
gossip and rumors. So something to be careful of, you know, fake news. Make sure you get the right information. Do your research, right? Also, potential like power struggle a little bit, like bullying.
Mm.
I don't know if I don't know if that was more of like a life thing that you experienced when you were growing up, but it could also
Yeah.
happen. Yeah,
Mm. Hello.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go. So watch out for those things. I mean, that's part of the whole thing. And
You have more in Arizona?
not based
Not
on
these.
the asteroids.
Uh-huh.
Arizona. Oh, Kitt Peak.
Hmm.
That's just a national park.
Oh, yeah.
Arizona itself, that's just Arizona. Oh,
It's what
Flagstaff. Oh,
we
Tucson.
Tucson.
Okay, okay.
Oh,
Let's go.
okay.
Let's go type that in. No, that's okay. That's totally fine. This is what makes it fun. I love this whole like. I love working organically like this. I don't. I don't know. It's just
I
sometimes it's.
think things,
Sorry.
yeah, things come up that have to come up, I think.
Exactly.
So,
What was the other one? Uh,
like
Flagstaff.
stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Let's see what it is. Actually, let's type in Arizona. I think Arizona is
Mhm.
already here. Okay. Oh, okay. Tucson, you're just showing where you would probably transform. Um,
Mm.
it's square your sun, so that means you might get into things there that you don't uh, necessarily like. Maybe there's too much, an overload of information, probably, because it's in Gemini. And you might be
Mm.
like, what am I going to do with this? It's useless.
Mhm.
Information that's useless. Or you
Mm.
might, I don't know, it might bring you, maybe you'll feel a little bit separated, but you haven't
Mm.
transformed to that. You have to learn from those process. When I say separated, it's because of Gemini. Maybe like a split, there's a duality there. Yeah. Neighbors might also be a problem. You might not get along with neighbors in Tucson. So
Oh,
personally,
that's
I
good.
don't recommend Tucson. Sorry?
It doesn't sound good. Problems with
Right?
neighbors is.
Yeah, well, yeah, because it's neighbors. It's that's also Gemini.
Mhm.
Neighbors, like your current near environment. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, because it might not necessarily be. Tucson is what? What does Tucson look like? Let's take a look. So it's more of a city rather
Mhm.
than like where it's a little bit more spiritual, more natural, and
Mhm.
that's
Mhm.
probably also why I feel like that's
Yeah.
one of I can see already. Yeah,
Yeah.
so you're running into challenges there, anyways.
Mm.
You also run into challenges with like sudden changes, like sudden changes
Mhm.
in jobs, maybe sudden changes in
Mhm.
money, issues with possessions. You still go through that. You have your Sun square Uranus.
Mm.
Do you get your nervous
What's
system
the mo-
doesn't? Sorry, go ahead. Huh?
I'm just thinking about, yeah, I don't know yet. Now it's like pretty, my life is more and more calm. I think that's really
Okay,
nice. So
okay.
they're not these, but before it was all about changes and
Ah,
fast.
okay.
So,
Well, okay. Well, okay. Well, that is the younger. This is like your younger years. These are your the first to the third house is about like it's what they call the formative years in
mm.
psychology.
Mm.
I think it's called formative years. Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So we're gonna skip Tucson here, but I noticed that even though the challenges are there, it's also sort of a good challenge. You can go visit Tucson if you want to, but it's I don't know. It's up to you. But be open to
Mm.
the transformational potential there that you might experience. But you don't have to live there.
Mhm. Mhm.
Flagstaff, it's conjunct Saturn, so that means this is where you'll feel a little bit more stable.
Mhm.
However, you might be too stable that you want to move eventually or do something, take action, because
Mhm.
that's what I'm seeing here. You have Flagstaff conjunct Saturn, and it's square Mars. your Mars, Arizona. So that would mean that even though Arizona might be a good place for you to build a career or further your career, um, having that stability, your curiosity fulfilled, first house, and maybe this because Flagstaff is actually, even though it's in the first house, it's actually conjunct the cusp of the second house, so it affects the second house more. So what that means,
Mm.
it's more about stability of money where you get there. But you might be bored
Mm.
because of
I
Mars.
can visit Tucson and it's like fine.
Exactly. There's another one. So yeah, Sapelo in general, Arizona would be okay. But Sedona, you might just have issues with. Yes, there's power struggles, but that means transformation. And even though people might see you as weird, or people might see you as like just very different, because it's Sedona here is in Scorpio for your chart. So that means that even though you might be this weird person, you might be this sort of like intense person, even that sometimes it doesn't matter. The square to
Mm.
your midheaven, right here, you have Pluto, Sedona square your midheaven, and also Venus. So your relationships might be intense if you were to move there. Reputation might be a big thing as well. But I think either Sedona or Sapelo sounds good almost, because at Sapelo I wouldn't live there, but Sedona for sure,
Mm.
because I mean we already know about Sedona, right? And it ties in with your Odin there. Odin is there. Is it Odin and Osiris? So they both have to do with plants. Osiris is
Mm.
also about vegetation, and Sedona is I'm sorry. Odin is also about plant medicine. I believe he was the one that's plant medicine.
Mm.
Either way, it's tied to
Mhm.
that. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I think I remember it was about
Either
London.
way, it's in Sedona.
Mm.
So there's that. You had this other
Like
question.
Arizona in general would be good. It's just like that. I think that.
Yeah, you might feel a little bit of comfort for sure, like hominess in Flagstaff, because you have your moon in Capricorn, but it's in Capricorn, so that means it's ruled by Saturn. But Saturn is conjunct Flagstaff, so
Hmm.
there's probably a part of you where you get to learn a little bit more about what you want, what you desire, your needs that can be fulfilled in Flagstaff a little bit. But again, it's not necessarily like a place to stay. I don't think
Hmm.
so. Um, but let's take a look. What else is there? Doesn't look like Arizona, Sedona. Kitt Peak is a not a. I don't think Kitt Peak is a city.
Hmm.
I bet you it's not. That kind of ties in with
Hmm.
the where is it? Oh, it's in your
Hmm.
sixth house. I don't know, possibly, but pertaining to health and career. But it's in retrograde. You notice that R there. It's a small R. It's in
Hmm.
retrograde, so that means that you might have just like small connections, or at least you working more privately with people. So you're not going to find a big market when it comes to what you're looking. You might not necessarily find it everywhere. Maybe your own way through, maybe through word of mouth, through recommendations, through what do you call it, affiliations. But it's in the sixth house. That ties in with health. So you might even be working there. If you want to, you could find like a small part-time job there, and then maybe you'll find connections Maybe they're from
Hmm.
Sapelo. You never know. Arizona is
Mm-hmm.
beside New Mexico, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I think that's it for Arizona here. So those are the ones that Saguaro National Park. If it's
I love cactus.
sorry,
I love the like the saguaro cactus. So
have you been there before?
no, never.
Oh,
But
okay.
there are similar places in Argentina. They look pretty similar. It's fun.
Was that number 159,814? Yeah. Saguaro is in the 12th house. Okay. Uh, and it's in the 12th house, so that means have you been dreaming about it? Have you been dreaming about the desert or something that looks like saguaro?
Like dreaming in the night or dreaming because I
General,
like
general
dreaming.
dreaming, like general, it could be dream like I dream of it, or dreaming like sleeping
Yeah,
dreaming.
like it's a dream. It's a dream to be.
So it's just a
We have it
dream.
on our vision board, like these
Mm,
pictures.
okay, let's take a look. Oh, okay, so mm. You know you could do permaculture in a desert too, eh? You know that.
Mm. With greenhouse.
In is it Saudi Arabia? I forgot what it was. No, it's in Palestine. I forgot what it was. Anyways,
Mm-hmm.
they did permaculture in this area. It was like
Nice.
deserted. It was just like completely like dry. It wasn't
Uh-huh.
even soil. It was dirt. But they built it after a few years. It was flourishing.
Nice. Yeah,
You,
yeah,
you
yeah.
yeah. I'm gonna send. I'm just gonna write down notes for myself here. Send to what's that one? The culture in deserts. What is the other one I was gonna send you?
Um, Permaculture course or something like
Ah, yeah,
that
yes,
you. Oh,
yeah. The one that who I follow. He's this guy. He actually, I think he lives in the desert. I don't remember, or maybe California. California is a desert. So, but
mm,
okay.
yeah,
So
kind
there's
of Sedona for Europe. Not Sedona, but it's really really spiritual. They're all witches there. It's in the UK,
heard
United
about that
States.
one.
I've been there last year, and it just changed me. Was it
Is that
there?
in Scotland?
No, it's in England.
There's no asteroid for it, but you know what I could do? We're gonna do something different. So I'm gonna save this number here for myself, and then we're gonna go into change our settings here. Oh, oops, back. This is called relocation astrology or uh, oh, okay. Um, what is the United Kingdom? Oh, breaker. Okay. Um, it's called what is that? Astrocartography.
Ah, yeah.
There you go. Okay, so we're changing your birth date, like place of birth, to Glastonbury, and we're gonna see what
Uh-huh.
it's like compared to your own chart. I mean, as if you were there. So what I'm gonna do here is then go into this one called I'm blind today. Here we go. Okay, and then all objects. I'm just gonna do my usual things here. So here, so if you were to move to Glastonbury, it's pretty much kind of the same,
Mhm.
but let's see. Oh, I totally forgot that you had. Oh, okay. the placement of your experiences, specifically with big one is going to be Venus. Venus will be dominant in your chart there, dominant like a field. So instead of it being your relationship or your connection with foreigners, it'll be your connection to your own career, vocation, your reputation, your ego.
Mm.
And so that means that um, you'll kind of have a better, I guess you can say it's better, like maybe more of like a leisurely experience. So it looks a lot like your own chart.
Mm-hmm.
But I see your Venus is the one that's conjunct your midheaven. So that means, I mean, before it was in the ninth house, now it's in the 10th house. So it's not really pertaining to your own philosophies, your own uh, relationship with uh, foreigners. It's not even about big businesses itself. It's almost like it's already set. It's your career already.
Mm.
And I think that in a way, you could already make a home there. Maybe like a side home. I'm not really sure. Could be a place to like visit quite often, not necessarily live in. It's where you would make it's where you would transform. Here, it's not about relationships anymore. In your own birth chart, your north node was in the seventh house, but now it's in the eighth house in
Mm.
Glastonbury. So that means that you're meant to transform,
Mm.
um, but you're transforming through your own understanding of what it means to appreciate earthly things.
Mm.
Hmm. But you're still going to make changes. You could still make those changes. It's just going to be slightly different. So when I say slightly, I don't necessarily mean slightly. Actually, your wounding is still going to be about communication, but now it's more like communication with foreigners.
Mm.
Yeah, before it was just like you transform through it. Here in Glastonbury, it's more about your with foreigners, with the big business itself,
Mm.
because it's a ninth house. Right? It's still opposite of Uranus. Ah, okay. It's actually opposite of Uranus. I think I missed that one in your own chart. Was it the same in your own chart? Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, but then you have now. Oh, I forgot to mention Pallas Athena. Pallas Athena is a part of us that Pallas Athena is hard to. For me, she's like wisdom and intelligence at the same time. It's a awareness journey, creative wisdom. Right? She. If you don't remember the myth of Athena, she came out of Zeus's head.
Mhm.
Right? So she has this sort of purity about her. It's like she's like Artemis. She's all about being a virgin, like purity, sanctity, this kind of stuff. But she knew how to. She knew the connections between things. So she represents like connections, how everything is connected in the universe. Just high wisdom of pure, right? But she also represents patriotism or patriotism like yourself, as if you are your own nation. Okay? She's the civilized female, the left-brained feminine. She's not about the emotions. She's about like boundaries. So
Mhm.
your own wisdom was probably like you felt ostracism through your maybe not necessarily ostracism, but you felt kind of like out of place and didn't know how to communicate that. Or see, it's opposite of Uranus, so that means that not only did you go through these certain changes of knowing and learning, but also these changes of like inconsistencies, rather not necessarily changes, but inconsistencies or sudden changes. Okay, of belief systems. It's in Sagittarius. opposite of Pallas Athena and Chiron, it to me it means that it's he had to learn how to balance and put together this whole like, okay, well, I know that people don't believe me for what I say or how I communicate or express myself
Mhm.
because I have this knowing, this inner knowing. I have this wisdom. I know what's right. And you had to kind of almost like pick and choose who was going to trust you or who was going to believe you, what you said. But in this case now, it's sort of instead of it being something you transformed with, it's something that in the city of Glastonbury or town of Glastonbury, that it's something that you would have to deal with particularly like a big business, foreigners, um,
Mhm.
your own philosophies, higher education, right? It's also dreams as well, but these are actual. This one is like it's like the 12th house, but it's not necessarily like dreams because this is about this. When I say dreams, this is from traditional astrology. The ninth house is about dreams because it's more about visions, like where you want to go.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
again, so it ties in with Sagittarius, which is foreign, the long distance travel, traveling abroad. So that's why it's connected to dreams. Like I hope to be there. Aspirations. That's the ninth
Mhm.
house. Yeah. So um, what was I going with this one? So in this case, that would be a big thing. But
Mhm.
let's see here. Your moon rules the 10th house, just like it was in your own birth chart. But the moon here is in the fourth house, no longer conjunct the it's no longer conjunct the Imam Kweli or Nadir. It's in the fourth house. So that means that um, it's opposite of also the midheaven. So that means that any sort of needs that you would need for your any basic needs that you need, so that not only part of your core beliefs, but also your history, your DNA, your ancestry, your what else is that? Your lineage would be part of how you would be seen in Glastonbury. But
Mhm.
it might be pleasant because of Venus here, but because of the opposition, right, this opposition right here, it's you have to learn how to balance, like maybe going with people who meet your needs as well.
Mhm.
Because you have this opposition right here of Moon and Venus as well. Moon and Venus opposition is sort of like bringing into balance the need for relationships, but also the need for basic needs like nurturing, food, those kind of things. When you put those together, it's almost like, to me, that means people that actually will not only respect but also honor, validate, and actually give you what you need. So maybe that'll be something you experience in. So
So much information.
sorry, yeah, it's a lot. It's gonna be in the video. So I'm gonna close this other one here, and I'm gonna open. I'm just gonna give you a general gist of like what how much you've changed because we've gone quite. Like I said, it's about 3 hours. I don't think I said
Yeah,
that, did I? I don't think I said that. Sorry.
yeah, yeah. You told me.
I did?
I don't know
Okay.
if you maybe it's you wrote it in the post that you made in full time purpose. Could
Did I? Okay,
be.
I don't remember. Sorry, if I didn't, I apologize. But we're here now. Let's. Okay, here we go. By now, sometimes some charts look almost the same as the other ones. So
Mm.
it's normal. Um, okay, so let's take a look. So we're going to go back to the basic planets as before. The basic as in like my basic. So let's take a look. Progressions. Okay, so here we go. So your own chart shows what your own chart shows. It's in the inside. The outside is like shows where you've progressed, like meaning like how much you've changed. Um, so like before, like what we talked about, you have your uh, moon, your sun in. We're gonna go with the basics: sun, moon, ascendant. Have you heard of that?
Mhm.
Okay, the triad. The sun in Virgo. We know about that one a lot already. Um, it's now in Libra. So what that means is you progressed as this person who's more open to balance, relationships, equality, evenness, harmony. You're probably a little less technical, less pedantic, okay, less
Mhm.
less anal with things, less of a perfection. Actually, perfectionism, no, it's still in Libra. You're still a
Mhm.
perfectionist. Probably even more so in Libra. You're a little bit. You have more assertiveness,
Mhm.
right? Because in a mutable signs are known for their transition. They're transitionary energies. When you go into like what you call a cardinal sign, you switch over. It's like assert, assert, assert. But Libra,
Mhm.
yeah, but Libra's not really assertive unless it comes to harmony. Libra will assert itself if there's disharmony, if there's chaos, right, or if there's a disagreement, you kind of step in. Have you been doing that, sort of? You think you've been kind of doing
I think so. Do you mean also like in relationship or so? Like if
that? In
it's
general, like yeah,
Mhm.
between people, like a kind of like a, do you intervene sometimes?
Yeah, sometimes yeah. Not that much because yeah, I think, but I would like. I think it's more
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
it would be my nature to do it. Yeah,
Okay.
it feels like.
So now in this case, you progress and you have more air in yourself. You have that.
Mm.
You also communicate less like fire to, that's interesting. It's now
Mm.
moved to your 11th house. I mean, it's not to say that it's moved. Your birth chart will always be your birth chart. That's your energy. But
Mhm.
what this means, what the progression means, is that it has a layer of a different
Mm.
approach. It feels like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your reputation is now a lot to do with, um, or how the world sees you now is more about through communities, but
Mm.
also through they see you as probably like a teacher, maybe. Before it was more about they see you as someone they can't read. They're like, okay,
Mhm.
there's a fun.
Mhm.
They probably saw you as like, oh, there's something nurturing about her, but I don't know if I want to come close. Now it's more like, ah, yeah, she's a little bit more open. Okay, I can sort of have a chat with her. We can talk. You're open to talking more too,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Your ascendant, how you package yourself, is right here. Ah, okay. It's actually conjunct your Saturn,
Mhm.
like not serious, like but serious enough, like committed.
Mhm. Mhm.
Those are the big changes. Mars is there. Has Jupiter gone? See, progression doesn't always mean that it's moving forward, because moving forward
Mhm.
here means like this, right? But it's not in retrograde anymore. You see that?
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
yay! So, potential and opportunities are now open to you.
Mm.
Mhm. You have more of the
Nice.
understanding of like, oh, okay, I'm a bit more opportunistic. I'm a bit more risk
Mhm.
taking. Okay, this kind of
Mhm.
thing. And Saturn, I said, is the same. It was in retrograde. Neptune is also no longer in retrograde. Is it? Yeah, it's no longer in retrograde. So now you're open to seeing uh, and fantasizing and imagining things. You're now a bit more open to like, and this includes, oh, Sedna and Full is still in retrograde. Okay, not much going on there. We never went through Eris, because Eris is also the major planetary ruler of Libra.
Mm.
In your birth chart, Eris was in the sixth house. But what that means for health specifically is, what is Eris? Something about balance and chaos. One second here. I have an old laptop. I mean, it's Mac, so it's good. But Okay, here we go. We're going to go all the way down. So iris on a medical. Oh, cancerous cells. Okay. But it's in retrograde, so it's not coming up. Do you have any inner ear issues? No.
No. Mhm.
Anything with skin? Anything with the epidermis specifically?
Sometimes, yeah. Not that much, but sometimes something comes up, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Collagen is
Absolutely.
part of that too. Collagen.
Mhm.
So that's Eris. But Eris here is in retrograde. So, oh, what did I do there? Oh, I closed the wrong window. Sorry. Sorry, 1 second. There we go. Okay. So that's what's changed.
Mhm.
Transformations. There's also progressions in your and progressions in terms of like also how much you progress. Um, so when we talk about the moon earlier here, we have, like I said, we already talked about that earlier. You have progressed in Gemini moon, so you're more technical, okay. But in this case, you're more. You can see more. You can sense certain the details. You get a little more analytical with relationships. Meaning, this is
Mhm.
like the one you're talking about with Venus as well, right?
Mhm.
But here, it's about got the little details of a person. Yeah, I don't know. Do you feel that sometimes?
Yeah, yeah.
But then you have a transit here. This is a transit. This is an actual planet that's coming in. I don't know what to call this. It usually signifies a lesson that needs to be learned temporarily or for a
Mhm.
number of years, depending on the planet. Right? The farther out the planet, the longer the transit, of course. But you have Sun. What is this one? You have Sun, Venus, relationships with someone of authority that might come in through, like not necessarily love relationships, but sort of like a connection, maybe an
Mhm.
agreement, a contract with them. And it kind of might add pleasantry to your own, it might make it more pleasant, especially with your Chiron retrograde here. Chiron retrograde, before it wasn't retrograde. Now it's in retrograde. That means it's going to repeat itself.
Mm.
Constantly repeat. Yeah, usually if it's not retrograde, Chiron is just like one time. Retrograde though, it's like again and again
Mm.
and again. So you probably have been experiencing that quite lately. Yeah. So unfortunately, that's what it is. It means that we still have learning to do. Because otherwise,
Mhm.
like I said again, if it's done, what's the point?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, more than others, like your wants and your needs. This is your wants. It's not an external validation. It's like you're mirroring them as well. This is also Gemini, so that means you're mirroring them. That's why I think
Mm.
that's why you're in shadow work, right? So, speaking of shadow work, where's Pluto transit right now? Pluto is in Aquarius, right here. It's a conjunct, 2 degrees, 7. Nope, that's not really a conjunction, not yet. Eventually, it's going to Pluto will transit your progress. This is your progress chart. You'll transit
Mhm.
your progress Jupiter, and although it's no longer retrograde, Pluto will make it sort of it's in retrograde. Once it goes into what you call this? What's that word? There's a term for it in astrology. I totally forgot. I know what it is. It's the tip of my tongue. It once it starts moving again, and it's no longer in retrograde. Your current environment, meaning like your immediate environment, will be affected. Maybe neighbors there might be changes with neighbors, but
Mm.
Pluto there will make you uh, look at it and kind of take away from it. It'll burn what you don't need. It'll take away what you don't. It'll rot it away. Okay, so you might lose certain sibling figures, people you relate with. Could be that. Could also just be like you might lose information on things that you thought were important.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now, right, but with Pluto there, it's eventually going to, not now, eventually in the near, maybe starting November, maybe you'll start after November, because in November, around November 20, Pluto will be in Aquarius permanently. I mean, not permanently, for the next 10 years. I forgot, 10 years, but it's going to be in Aquarius for a while. So that means it's going to bring up real opportunities, genuine opportunities, and you'll take away opportunities that seem like, opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's going to be opposite of your progressed Orcus. Orcus for you, I don't think has changed in the position in your own chart. Orcus was about 6 degrees in Leo, but now it's in the ninth house. It's not 10th house. So I think this is a time when you start to realize where you really want to go. I think that's also why you're probably drawn to Arizona, because something real about it, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you
Mm-hmm.
sense?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. More than here. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, cool. Orcus and Juno as part of your career is, that means it's getting you to commit to something real in terms of your career. It's time to nitpick at it and find the right information where you want to go, but making sure that it's real for you. Not only like looking at it from like a perspective of like the Earth thing, like it's like I need evidence, but sometimes real doesn't always necessarily mean that it's what you see, what you get, even what you
Mm-hmm.
feel. Sometimes it's all about inspiration. Remember, I told you earlier about your elements. You need fire and air. Well, you're getting more air now,
Yeah.
but the fire you need is something where it's more about inspiration, being
Mm-hmm.
in the moment, intuition, those kind of things. So those are also
Mm-hmm.
real. So that's what Orcus is telling me. We didn't go through a bunch of other planets because I feel like it doesn't answer your question. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
not right now.
Mm-hmm.
What else is there? So transformations. Let's look at the big events in your life. I like this one. We're almost done here. We're almost
Mm-hmm.
done. Let's see. So big events in your life. Definitely a lot of regeneration that you're going through. A lot of not just regeneration and rebirth. You're realizing your gifts. Um,
Mm-hmm.
abundance is becoming more internalized. It's almost maybe it's part of your, maybe at a physical level. Um, you're a little bit more protective. You know how to set boundaries.
Balance and
Yeah, and
yeah.
it's almost like you're becoming. You feel younger, possibly.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
you're slowing down, of course. You're more. You're open to certain things like prayers, incantations, your own womanhood as well. Relationships with your mother, probably, or a mother figure, or children. Open to the idea of uh, this whole thing we talked about, like birthing. The Hecate thing is part of that as well, right? Birthing, or be, maybe becoming a doula or a midwife or something related to that. Could be any kind of thing. Could be also in witchcraft. It's also included there. She's part of
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
Are you eating more fruits and plants? For sure, right? Because of being vegetarian. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
there you go. I should put in my notes that it's about being vegetarian. I'm not sure. Um, open to more growing. Are you growing flowers at home?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Okay,
First time.
there you go. And using natural preservatives. Um, Well, since you're a vegetarian, do you still use any? Not vegan, right?
Not anymore, no.
Okay.
Like mostly we do eat.
I had to be vegan because of my health. It's just like being vegetarian
Mm-hmm.
is not enough. It's not enough. I need so it resonates with this body. So,
Amazing.
um, but you're also going through cycles and all those things. So plant life as well, ecosystems. There's a permaculture that's happening as well. There's the thing. So there's a big event is the permaculture. That's the one thing right there. Now I
Is
get
it like is it now or like now and future or
it.
because you said big event, would
This is a
you
solar arc.
say?
So um, let's see. How many more years? Because it's a solar arc chart. A solar
Mm,
arc chart moves where the planets move in the same exact degree as they were. They don't stay in their degrees, but they move in the exact same alignment with the sun. That's why it's
mm-hmm,
solar. So that means
mm-hmm,
I have to count where the sun is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I would say no, 1, 2, 2. Hold on. This is about 10 degrees. No, this is 0 degrees. Oh, yeah. How many? Um. Well, if it's gonna move, okay. No, I'm gonna count what the sun is. Hold on, one second. Yeah, it's gonna be. Haumea is gonna be there for a while. So this big event that you have, you're gonna continue this for at least I don't know, 20, 30 years.
amazing. I need that.
Okay, good.
That's
Okay,
exactly
good.
the right topics that
Yeah.
you said.
At
Yeah.
the yeah at the very least like 10, but it's more
Mm-hmm,
than 10 for sure
mm-hmm,
because you. I mean, I'm just going with what I'm seeing here. Right? It's not absolute, but at the same time, I
mm-hmm,
would say Haumea will be in your first house, or at least it's not a transit, so it means that it's just showing that like that kind of big event sort of thing.
mm-hmm,
But it follows the sun. That's what it's always going to be. And because the sun moves every degree by one, and it moves 1 year, like
mm-hmm.
it moves by 1 degree per year. So I went this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So about approximately, yeah, more than 10 years for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Other things. So business, money wise, Juno, married? Are you gonna get married? Or not really, you don't need to get married, but do you feel like you have this strong bond? Like it's like set. Okay,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
That's good.
We're not people that like marriage, like the
That's fine.
concept, but we are. But something like that, yeah, we would do that.
No,
Like,
that's fine. It's between you and the person. It's
yeah,
yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
As
We
teal
have
spoke
our
about.
own it's kind of.
Exactly. There you go. Yeah, awesome. It's in it's sort of like you're becoming more confident. You're becoming more risk takey. It's in Sagittarius, so you're becoming like, okay, this is what I want to show now. I want to go ahead and
Mm.
go for it. If it's something that's inspired, I'll go for it as well. Do you have backup anything for traveling? Do you have a backup luggage, or do you have clothes that you have ready for travel just in case?
We have a van, like a camper van, so we are like
Okay,
always ready to leave.
that's
Kind
okay,
of.
awesome. That's right there. Yeah. Well, okay, awesome. Yeah. Like genuine like approach to that. So losses is part of that as well. That change, like change. I mean, real. Pluto wants to tell you to be open to real wealth.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, especially with with your moon in Capricorn, your sun in Virgo. Material things are kind of like but part of you felt uncomfortable about that, right? Remember we talked about that's why I got into the drugs because of all that stuff. They can have spiritual meaning to them.
Hmm. Hmm.
What's another one? Career wise, okay, same thing.
Through people, yeah, that
Yeah.
we
Oh, okay.
both knew. Hmm.
Okay, there. That's the one. That's a big one. Mother. Well, there's a permaculture thing too. That's you're learning it through, at least through, how did you learn about permaculture? Is it also through community and other people?
A friend, yeah, a
Okay,
friend of
that
mine.
makes sense. Yeah, this is the House of Friends. Is that something that's current?
I don't know, not really, but it feels like it feels when you say that it feels like familiar. I don't know why.
Okay, no, that's okay.
It's good. So that's strange.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that might be coming. I don't know. You
Mhm.
might come across someone who's,
That'd
I don't
be
know.
really nice.
Orcus is about contracts, or sort of like an understanding or agreement to it. It's a little bit more literal than Venus. Orcus is
Mhm.
actual, like, you know, contracts, but oaths, things that you promise to yourself. It's not just
Mhm.
devotion. Devotion is just commitment, but this is a promise. This is
Mhm.
like, because if you break your promise, it's gonna bite you in the ass, right? So that's Orcus.
Mhm.
So figuring out those things. What else is there? Any? Do you feel more nurtured now with the community? Do you feel a little bit more? You feel more at home with your communities, not just FTP, but
Yeah, because I left the communities that were like all about drugs and partying. So I'm not there anymore, and now I feel the people that I know and talk,
okay.
they know really who I am and what I'm doing and what I'm thinking. So
Okay,
I feel
that's
much more nurtured. Yeah,
good. Okay,
completely
that's part of
different
that.
world. Mhm.
That's part of the process as well. Yeah, awesome, cool. Um, do you feel? Do you feel an urge to write? Are you writing anything? Are you blogging? Not blogging. Like, are you writing anything? Are you thinking of writing a book, ebooks, or anything similar? Writing poetry?
One one day I would love to write a book, but it's like this big vision or big dream.
Okay,
I feel like when I'm older, I don't know. It's one
okay.
of these things that I feel like I'm an author, but I'm not a writer. So I heard from
Okay,
someone saying
that's
it's two
totally
different
fine.
things.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Absolutely, yeah. um, Definitely more action taken for sure.
Mm.
Um, Probably also accidents. Have you had any accidents with, not accidents, but like any sort of mistakes or even scarring? Oh, the whole
Last,
community that you had left.
yeah, and last year, like my foot in like near Glastonbury, I had like this. Like I strained my ankle, and I still like I have really a lot of problem with that. Like for I still feel it. I still and I love to exercise and lifting weights and all this, and so
Uh-huh.
it's like really like it's not so nice. It happened suddenly, and it was yeah, it
Ah,
just happened, and so that was really it was not so fun,
okay. I can
and I
understand.
didn't like that.
I used to be in a swim team, and I stopped because I'm dizzy now. I get dizzy.
Mhm, mhm.
I can only do like, if I were to swim again, I can only do like the, what in swimming called heads up breaststroke.
Uh-huh,
Like this,
uh-huh.
not like real
Yeah, yeah.
breaststroke, not like competitive breaststroke. So,
Uh-huh.
anyways, long story.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
your okay, this is a big one. Any any sort of desires or um, huge decisions that you make in life, especially when it comes to creativity, life itself. Um, yeah, your desire, like your wants, your what do you call this? Big decisions. Um, I don't know. I feel like this one's a big one because this. Do you feel like now you're more when you you make certain decisions more now with in pairs, like you feel like you feel more connect when you feel a connection with a person, could be a friend as well, that it's almost like it lights you up a little bit more, and that's when you make a decision.
Hmm.
Or is it more like in solitude when you, because it's a 12th house, this is house of solitude, it's house of reflection, so meditations is one example, any sort of meditative state, that's a 12th house.
Hmm. It's well, what comes to my mind is like I trust myself more to make decisions on my own. Like
Okay.
really to go. inward. And even if I like to talk about with my partner, with my mother, but it's more like I feel that because I made so many decisions in my life, and in the end they were all the right ones because it had to
Yes.
be everything. So it's I trust myself more, I think. So I rather go in solitude to decide now. I don't need approval from others.
Good.
I don't know. Does
Yeah,
that make sense?
it is in the 12th house, so relationships. Because
Mm-hmm.
it's in the 12th house, it's almost like the opposite of that. It's almost like
Mm-hmm.
you're finding your relationship with yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Makes sense, yeah.
But we also have Makemake here. I never talked about Makemake. Makemake is how do you describe Makemake? He's instant downloads, like fast, like ideas. He's like the higher vibration of Uranus, which is like sudden changes. Makemake is like downloads, inspiration, intelligence, and creativity. He's also tied to manifestation. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, because Makemake understands the wisdom in nature. It's almost like nature's brain. That's
Mm-hmm.
Makemake, sort of like that. Let me see what else Makemake has here.
You said sudden download, or what did you
Yeah,
say?
it's
Yeah.
like easy, quick downloads. It's like
Mm-hmm.
uh, yeah, directed focus and certain divine downloads that come in fast and inspired. It also has to do with okay, good, yeah,
That's what I feel. Yeah, in business, like what I'm in coaching business and YouTube, it's act on them.
mm,
Like when I say I want to do a freebie, and then I said, what freebie should I do? And then I went to take a nap, and while falling asleep, check, I had the idea, and I
yeah,
wrote it down, and it was that. And then I act up, and I did not question it. Before I
that's
would
awesome.
have questioned it, I think.
That yeah, absolutely. But it's also I'm not sure if this is applies to you, but he's self-creative, self-producing. But it also means it ties to asexuality.
Hmm.
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 Have
Not
you?
really. I think
Okay.
asexuality is the contrary of like it's
Hmm. Okay. Maybe you meet someone who's asexual. I don't know.
mhm, mhm,
But it's not
mhm.
really about meeting. But I mean, let's see. Okay, hold on. Is it Venus? Hold on. That's 12 degrees Libra, 60 degrees Aries. Maybe in the workplace, someone who's asexual. I don't know. I'm not really sure. Anyways, I'm not going to dwell on that. I'm just wondering because it's one of those
Interesting.
things. It's part of the mythology. Well, they didn't say he's asexual. Just he was able to produce himself.
Hmm.
Makemake was in, I think it's Hawaiian myth. No, it's Easter Island. It's part of the Easter Island myth. So, but he was able to produce himself. He was that's asexuality. Right? So it's like I birthed myself. Yeah.
Yeah, but spiritually it makes sense. Like
Okay. Yeah.
or emotionally, kind of.
Okay. Yeah. That self creativeness is definitely there, though, right? You said.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So manifestation, but also your senses that are like heightened senses as well. Right? So you definitely come into that as well. The the sun rules the heart. So do you feel that when you really listen to inspiration, you get these faster downloads? Okay, there
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
And it ties into the Eris in your sixth house, which is opposite. So that means it's something to do with, like I said earlier, something with the skin. Hmm. Have you ever um, allowed for, if you feel itchy or if you feel any sort of pain in the skin or any sort of skin issue, do you usually heal it right away or do you let the body heal?
I let the body heal usually,
Do you get
but
anything? Oh, sorry, God, yeah, but you.
yeah, it sometimes comes something like I would say
Okay.
once or twice a year or so, and depends. Sometimes I go with like this Western medicine directly because I don't want to be bothered by it,
Mm-hmm.
and other times I wait, but it's like I don't know. I let the body heal, but I feel I want to hurry it up. Like it's like come on,
Okay, yeah,
why are you doing this?
that makes sense. We'll
And
have to
skin,
do.
I don't know. I'm full of tattoos. That's also
Yeah,
skin.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I don't know. I have a
yeah. I saw
lot.
that. I saw your. Yeah. That's cool. What is it? What is your tattoo show? What is it?
I have different ones. This is a mermaid. I
Oh,
I have the one the Egypt cat goddess vested.
Bastet.
I have
Oh, okay.
a
You're
different one,
okay.
like all over, like all really positive. I would say like yeah, positive symbols,
Okay.
and just in the style that I like with a lot of colors. And yeah,
Are those the only tattoos you have, or do you have?
and no, it's the whole arm and
Cool.
my right leg, on the left leg as well. I have one on the belly,
Oh,
a
okay.
heart, a bird heart,
Okay.
and
Okay.
so like I have many. I don't know, 20 or more. It's like
That's
full.
fine.
But that's
Cool.
skin as well, so that's why I was thinking
I
it's
was.
always like that's
Yeah.
kind of a in the beginning it's like it's kind of a infection of the skin when they put it in. So it's like the skin wants to heal and then it heals and then it stays colored.
Okay.
But in the end, when they put in the color, it's something that it's foreign for the body. So it wants to get rid of it in the beginning. So it's always a kind of a I think I'm not sure, but I think it's kind of a infection for a week or so.
Okay.
That
Well,
should
that
be
makes sense.
something.
It's kind of quick too. Make here is probably it's probably going to signify quick healing as well, because
Mm-hmm.
the sun isn't about generation regeneration. The sun is about vitality. So at the very least, your vitality will increase a little bit more. It's faster.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and, but it's also, I forgot to mention, Make represents something about an interest in multicultural stuff.
Hmm.
So that makes sense now. It's like, oh, I see here. I keep forgetting
Mm-hmm.
Make is like that. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's one big thing as well. So therefore, that's why you've been. How long have you been traveling for? The past few years?
I was traveling, like I was always traveling, like smaller trips, like for months or so. Small for me, it's like not, and then for 4 years, like 4 years complete.
4 years now? Okay. I was going to assume like 12 years because of where the sun has been from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. That's fine.
Really
That makes
began
sense.
the bigger travel. Yeah, exactly. 12, I think 12 years ago. I started with the first one that was a bit like more weeks, not just 2 weeks. So
Well, well, the
about in
sun
2000, I think.
mm, moves in the same position as before, according to where the sun is moving. But I forgot to say that you have a Makemake personality.
Hmm.
This also explains why you enjoy traveling, like multicultural,
Hmm.
right? Which is really cool because I wanted to talk more about that. Maybe another time. I don't know. Um,
Mhm.
and that's cool because I love languages. Yeah.
Yeah, because I speak 5 languages.
Oh, okay. Okay. Tell me about it.
Yeah, German, of course. Then German and Italian are my like two native languages,
Sure.
and then French, of course. Like we have to study French in Switzerland,
You're in Switzerland, yes.
and
Okay.
then self-taught English, and then Spanish in South America. So it's like
Um,
the 5 languages.
if I say something, I'm hoping you're going to understand it. Just to be on a side note, okay? Um, Capacesti romansh, la lingua romancia.
Wow. No, I don't speak it, but yeah, like I understand a bit, of
That's it.
course.
Yeah, they say Gia, Gia, na, but you understand it. Okay, cool.
I understand, a bit of it. Like a lot of like this Romanian or Latin languages.
Yeah,
It's like
it's a Latin.
it's,
Yeah,
it's easier to understand when you know already one or two. So it's just like, yeah. So Portuguese, I also understand, like the Brazilian one, quite, but it's not that I talk it. So it's
okay.
just because it's similar. Oh,
Okay.
nice. And you?
I also about five. Not really. I'm not sure. German, I try. When I say I try, I just because I don't expose myself to it as much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But also Danish
Hmm.
and
Nice. I'm learning Norwegian now with an app. So it's
oh,
that's next week.
okay. Are you? I speak Norwegian too.
No. Oh my God.
Hvor lenge,
I never guessed that.
hvor lenge har du studert eller lært norsk? Hvor
Uh,
lenge?
I don't know to answer, but you asked me how long
Har
I've
du
been.
lært, har du lært norsk?
Nice.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I don't really. I can speak Norwegian, but I feel I'm more exposed to Danish.
Uh-huh.
So, um, but Danish is kind of tough for Norwegians because Danes have to slow down
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
it's like English compared to German or compared to Dutch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's the sounds come together too much.
Yeah.
That's Danish. Danish comes together a lot. There's like sounds that disappear. Like what? I didn't
Yeah.
hear you.
Yeah.
What? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. The Norwegian, like like because I'm learning with the app, and usually I learn like Spanish. I learned while talking, like I just talked, and so it's so different. Like Norwegian is just like this really, I don't know, Virgo style of learning it, like everything like this. And Spanish I learned so much like more from this natural way because I was talking, I had to understand it. I was like, and that's why Norwegian is like I can't talk it. It's just
Have
I understand what I learn, but it's not.
Have you heard of you heard of what I talked about earlier, right? Language acquisition. Have you heard of it?
Mm, no, I'm
It's
not
not
sure.
to me. I'm not really concerned about the method. I'm not about the method. I'm more about is it natural?
Mm-hmm.
And usually, what I've been doing is like the reason why I have now a bit more fluency in German is because well, I hope I do is because I've mostly been absorbing it first.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because we were taught in the past for the past 500 years we were indoctrinated into believing that um, it's the other way around, right? It's listening, speaking is actually a result of listening, and then reading and then writing is a result of reading. But we went the other way around. We started with
Mm-hmm.
writing and then
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
reading and then speaking and then listening. So
Mm-hmm.
this is what I discovered back in 2000, 2000 when was this? About 5 years ago, that I was like, oh, I'm tired of not this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I feel a little intimidated, like, wenn ich auf Deutsch mit dir rede, ähm, es wäre ich würde mich peinlich sein, weil ich so, ja, ich habe jetzt, what is that one? I keep thinking back in Danish, sorry. Ich zweifle mich,
Mm-hmm.
ich zweifle
Mm-hmm.
mich sehr oft und ja, nicht so viel, nicht so viel Fließendheit, aber ich versuche.
Sehr gut. Hört sich sehr gut an.
Okay, danke. Okay, so,
But I was like in Spanish, I had the same. Like I felt because I speak Italian, so it was quite easier to learn Spanish. But then I did not talk it, and then when I found my family online, I knew now I have to talk Spanish, and then something happened in my brain that it made zack, And then I was not scared anymore. I just talked like, and the words that I didn't know in Spanish, I just said them in Italian and with the
Yeah,
Spanish
that's
accent.
what I do. Yeah, exactly. That's what I do. You don't force anything. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Just
Yeah,
try, and then they usually most people like understand or they try to understand you. So
yeah,
it's nice.
yeah. And it's actually
Yes.
funny because it's like it's you. The way I've learned about this whole thing is that we acquire language more than we learn it,
Mm-hmm.
and we acquire it through actual experience that stems from um, environment, but also with specifically with the um, how the subconscious part of the brain picks up the
Mm-hmm.
messages,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah, I think.
it's because it's the oldest part of the brain. I don't know if you've heard of the brain triune. It's like a three-part
Mm-hmm.
brain. There's
Mm-hmm.
the lizard brain is the subconscious,
Ah, yeah. Yeah.
the one that's automatic, the one that's like,
Mm-hmm.
did I just say that? What the
Yeah.
like what? Right. So and there's where automaticity is. So
Mm-hmm.
I've learned from myself that it's like, oh, that's why I can speak a little bit better now.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's
Mm-hmm.
like I'm not forcing speaking. I'm just like even sometimes when I watch TV shows, I find that sometimes it's not enough. You need the biochemical
Yeah, yeah.
connection with people.
Then you have to trust like your subconscious because also your own language. You never know what you're saying. Like you're just talking and you're not planning what you're saying. You're just
Exactly.
talking. I think
Exactly.
that's oh I'm so tired. I have to go
Okay, that's okay.
because it's like 11 here in the evening.
Oh, okay.
I'm tired, I think.
I'm sorry. Okay, but
Oh, but so interesting.
um, so that's we could you
I
can
think
always have. Sorry.
I think for the moment it's enough because I'm full.
Yeah, yeah. No, whenever you have like other
Mhm.
specific question, we can go like
Yeah,
little tidbits.
yeah, would
Yeah.
be nice.
So
Hmm. I have to process it, and then I'm sure there will come more questions and more
okay.
thoughts of it. I think
Yeah. But I'll
because it's
post this though. Yeah, I will
uh-huh.
post it. So, but yeah. Any others? Did that help you though? At least did it give you some insight into like
Mm-hmm.
especially with the North Node where you're headed right now?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I feel calm. Like it feels like there's so much less stress. Like I felt my life before, it was. I feel like I'm at a tipping point. Like I have
Hmm.
this path. It's always in life you're like changing, but I feel like this like this South Node stuff. It's like now falling away more and more. It's still here, of course. It's that's me. Everything that I experienced, but I feel like I'm going in this direction of everything is more calm. Yeah,
Hmm.
more earth, more earthy. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. But
so
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. It's all really about balancing, anyways. Like um, watch out for those things on YouTube, like where they say like if they only focus on the North Node, it has to be both. But if the
Mm-hmm.
focus is just more on the North Node, but then that's why it's called the dragon's head, and but the South Node is the dragon's tail.
Mm-hmm.
So, right, because sometimes it's easier to fall back into your South Node behavior, right? Like for me, I do that sometimes. Like this, when I do this hill, this is my South Node too. This
Mm-hmm.
is I have Aquarius in South
Mm-hmm.
Node. South Node is Aquarius. So, but my challenge is to be more Leo, to be more like open and trusting and
Uh-huh.
childlike.
Uh-huh.
It's quite a challenge, but it's getting there. Yeah.
Nice. So cool. Thank you so, so much. I will
Yeah.
talk again, of
Yeah.
course.
So sorry again, I made it quite long, but I
No, no, sorry that I'm
no, no,
tired.
you don't. So it's sorry for that. But anyways, yeah. If you have any questions, I'd love to even talk about other things too. Like
Yeah.
I won't be I won't be with FTP for a while
Mm-hmm.
because I'm budgeting things right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know where it's headed, but if you're still on FTP, you can message me there, like school, but I won't be
Yeah.
in like, I won't be there. Like, I won't be in the group study. Like, today's my last day, so.
Uh-huh. Okay, yeah.
But if you
And
have,
you have my email, so we
oh
can
yeah,
also
yeah,
talk
that's right. I did
there.
tell you. Oh yeah, okay, okay.
Yeah,
I'll take
that
it.
would be
Okay,
nice. Perfect. I'm so happy. Thank you so, so, so
no
much.
problem. Yeah.
And
Again, if
talk
you
to
have
you.
any questions, yeah, no
Yeah,
problem. Yeah.
of course. I will send you a message. 100%.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Good night. Have a good one. Thanks for
Thank
sharing and
you.
thanks for
Hey.
reading. Okay. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye bye.
Patricia.